our buddy Andy Baskin.
Yep.
Mary Kay Cabot is reporting that Schwartz is the favorite now, which
well, supposedly they interviewed somebody yesterday for 7 hours.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah, with the wind chill right now in Jacksonville, Pius, it's 17 degrees.
I saw a post this morning that Tampa may get snow because the Gulf Lake effect snow.
For the hockey game, too, this is hysterical.
Oh, my God.
Because the hockey game's Sunday. The low temperature Sunday in Jacksonville is supposed to be 21 degrees. Temperature.
Oh, there it is. Sorry. There he is.
Yes. Yes, sir, AJC. Yes, sir.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this chilly, we'll just say it, on this cold Tuesday. Woo! Who signed up for this, right? Oh, the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mark, it's in the upper 20s here in Jacksonville, wind chill of 17. To our friends in the north in Huntsville, it's 14 degrees right now. I called my mother last night, who lives in Jersey, who's coming down to Florida on Thursday, and I called her to say, make sure you bundle up and you bring the warm clothing. She's like, you do know I live in Jersey. I'm like, yeah, I might be colder here than there when you get here. What in the wide world of sports is going on here? We're going to have an outdoor hockey game in Florida, and it may be too cold.
Yeah, they have. I was watching the Lightning last night, and they, of course, are showing the rink being built at Ray J. And they have over the rink a tent where they can air condition and keep the area cool in
Right.
order to make the ice. I'm not sure it's necessary.
Definitely not. Save the money right now. Tear it down. Wow.
I actually saw someone post on X or repost on X the possibility of Gulf effect snow.
Oh, for goodness sakes. I didn't know that was a thing.
It shouldn't be. And the fact that not a lot, but Tampa could get somewhere, like they could actually get snow that sticks for a moment. Not a lot, but the fact if I'm in Tampa and I got to go up on Thursday after the show, and I will be there for a while.
Yes,
If it snows while I'm in Tampa, I don't know if that's a good sign for me or a bad sign for me, David.
I think it's a good sign. I think it's like, let me tell you how rare this is. It's snowing in Tampa. Hello. My
Holy-
11-year-old's doing a snow angel.
Holy Toledo.
Yes. Wow. This is some stuff right here. This really is. I mean, listen, we're soft. We know we've gotten soft. We've moved in the South. Okay. So we know that. But
Hell, we skipped the South and moved into what we thought was the tropics.
right.
You're in the South. You're in Jacksonville.
Right.
That's the South.
Right.
Tampa, no.
No, right. Somewhere south of the villages is like, Florida. Right. There's
Right.
the South and there's
Thank you.
Florida. Florida's immune to all this stuff, The Panhandle, Jacksonville, they can get some stuff. Yeah, this is bat blank crazy.
And yesterday it was hot. Dare I say a touch humid around here. I'm like, whoa, it's sticky for January. And then it just kept getting cooler and cooler. And this morning, and David, I pulled a U this morning because it's warmer in the studio than my house or anywhere else. It just is, and that's fine. So I left this morning. I mean, certainly, don't kid yourself. By now, this passed a sock and shoe advisory. This is a sock and shoe warning. But because it's warm in here, I had my hoodie, but I had shorts on because I wanted to be comfortable doing the show. My wife looked at me and she went, "You're wearing shorts?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got to walk to the car and then from the car to the building. I have 25 feet to walk twice. I can handle it."
Whew. So buckle up, bundle up, buttercup. I mean, that's the theme of the show today. And
Sure
get
is.
ready. I guess we've got a week of this.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 4 days scheduled in the next 7 where the low temperatures in Jacksonville are in the 20s. Mark, there's one day in which the low temperature is 21 degrees. Not wind chill, just straight out temperature.
Well, I am scheduled to tee it up tomorrow. I play golf on Wednesdays and Fridays. With what I have going on, tomorrow is my last round of golf. I was very much looking forward to it. Say goodbye to a lot of my friends that I tee it up with twice a week. I am really comprehending whether or not I should be doing this tomorrow. This is not, if it weren't my last round, I'd be out. I'm telling you right now, I'd be out. I still might be. Holy Toledo. And that's down here in Southwest Florida, where we're going to see, 36 at some point Sunday morning. That's the low for the week. But yes, it's going to be chilly.
Chilly.
Where you are, it's going to be cold.
Chilly. And we're not talking about a restaurant where you can get 2 for $25 if you order the right items. Woo! Man, this is how cold it is. My wife won't go outside when it's much below 50. And she walks every day. And I said, honey, if you're not going to put on an extra layer, you're not going to go outside for days. So my wife's going to be, normally she does her walk during our show, like during the second hour of our show. She goes for her walk. Sun's coming up. She takes her walk. She's got the same 6 or 8 people that she runs into, joggers, people walking their dogs. You know, they've got a morning routine.
Okay, hang on. I got to stop you right there. Does she know? Because your wife used to be much friendlier than you. You've worn her out over the years.
Right.
Does she know any of the people that she passes with dogs, jogging, walking, etc. by name?
No, she does not. She will tell me all sorts of things, though, about the people when we're driving by later in the day and they're walking again. And she'll go, yeah, that guy there, he's got a dog, very playful. You know, this, that, and the other thing, lives over, down 2 turns. It's got the scouting report as best as she can, but names, no. Names are not needed, at best optional.
Because I have Vinny and Pat. They walk every morning. They leave at 10. If I get out of here quickly after the show, I usually have a chat with Vinny and Pat.
Right.
Mostly with Pat, because she, like you, is a gigantic Met fan.
Yes.
Yep. And she wants to know where Bichette's playing too. She said third base. So,
well, Pat's right. Besides, at $42 million a year, he's playing wherever they tell him to play. That's how it works. But Miller and Moulton on this cold Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. We got a jam-packed show, though. We're going to head to Clemson in about 90 minutes. Dabo was hot.
Dabo is hot. Poor Dabo. Dabo has avoided the transfer portal like the plague. And most people, including those inside the circle at Clemson, have been upset that he hasn't embraced what college football is now. And because of it, and other reasons, Clemson suffered on the field.
No doubt.
So Dabo dove into the deep end of the transfer portal this offseason, only to have the linebacker that he went after plucked after he enrolled in classes at Clemson and then left for more money for Ole Miss, to which Dabo said there's tampering and then there's blatant tampering. I didn't know there was a difference. There is to Dabo. He's ticked off. In fact, in a presser, he went for about 7.5 minutes on it.
Yes, he did. And I thought it was spectacular. Lawton Swann covers Clemson athletics. He will join us to talk about the annoyed, to say the least, Dabo Swinney. We'll head to Cleveland. Does anybody want the Browns job?
Oh, I thought we were talking about Shedeur making the Pro Bowl.
I was trying to put that off for as long as possible.
I apologize.
Is that the poll question, by the way? Ty Huntley, Shedeur Sanders, which Pro Bowl nod was worse at quarterback?
This is, if there were ever a reason, and it's not because of the person, okay? This is not me going after Shedeur Sanders because I don't like him. It's the credentials of the player. Can we just cancel this damn thing? This is ridiculous.
Please.
I mean, this is ridiculous.
You have former players who are proud Pro Bowlers who are like, I can't even bring this up now. You've turned this into a joke.
David, when I do Today Was a Day When, I research it. And one of the sites that I have, it has many scores. There's a page completely dedicated to sports. And I laugh because there are Pro Bowl results on there. And NBA All-Star, this time of year, the Pro Bowl and the NBA All-Star game back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s is when this was going on. And it was a big deal.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, Phillip Rivers, maybe is that the poll question? Who was more worthy of the Pro Bowl nod? Phillip Rivers or Shedeur Sanders?
I like it. That's high level snark
Thank you.
for
That
6:13 in the morning right there.
that's
High
worthy.
level snark.
Yep, that's 21-degree wind chill snark right there in the South.
You got
That's
that
what
right.
that is. And Mike Miller will join us to talk college hoops. The season's been underway for about 10 weeks now, and it's actually spectacular. We'll catch you up on it because we know you haven't been paying attention to it.
And it's worth paying attention to. Another good game last night. Arizona remains undefeated. This Duke team looks like, wait for it, Duke.
And to think they had a couple lottery picks who could have stuck around another year. You know, you'd think if any team could afford NIL to keep a guy around another year, you think it'd be Duke basketball.
Miller and Moulton, thanks so much for joining us. The starting five is 25 minutes away. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I don't have any Michigan clips, but I have the Radish goal that makes it 1-0 if you want it.
Is it him calling it or no?
I don't believe so, David.
Oh, well then, nah.
Well, what the hell? You're no fun.
Well, unless you want to play with your toy.
I've already done it. Done the work. Good God, I'm telling you, you guys, you're tough around here. Tough, I tell you.
And now you've entered the studio again.
Well, I have to.
I have 2 angles of you.
I have to in order to get this up. This is where the toy works, David.
Wow. We're all for the toys.
Were you really sick this week? What was the problem?
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that? You
My
broke
back is broken.
what? A vertebrae or what
Well,
portion?
Spinal.
I know. God. Tommy Morrison, it's about the altitude. I broke my back. What part of it? Vertebrae? Spinal. The Jim Gray, Larry Merchant, middle of the ring boxing interviews when boxing was a thing. God, were great.
I loved how angry Larry Merchant would get with some fighters and how much they would just want to look at him and kill him.
Yep.
He was prickly, to
and
say
he would
the
know.
very least.
Right. And he would know they ain't going to hit an old guy standing in the middle of the ring, so he'd give it to him right back.
By the way, but my bet of the day today is that you got to lay a little odds. Utah's not beating Florida. They played Tampa last night. They got to play Florida tonight. And last night they played their tails off. I mean, Espo I guess it was the second, was just beside himself the first. When I'm driving, no, it was the second. When I'm driving to get my daughter, he is beside. There is a series of plays where it's in the other end and Vassie's standing on his noodle. And I mean, Espo is so angry.
Love him.
Then the Lightning are about to get a power play, and they've got the extra attacker out. And I don't think Utah had possessed the puck, let alone touched it. And he was incredulous. I mean, it is something.
Love him.
I mean, what's he, 81?
Gotta be. I think he's older.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com. Miller_Moulton on X. Starting 5 and a little more than 15 minutes away. I am not bringing this up because it's from my backyard, if you will. And I don't mean my backyard now, but where I grew up. I'm not bringing this up because it's a school that I had a little bit of an emotional attachment to. But did you see the Rutgers story yesterday?
Matter of fact, I didn't see it yesterday, David. I saw it this morning.
Holy guacamole.
Apparently, they're losing a little money.
Apparently?
And by a little, I mean, what is it, over $300 million in the last few years?
Mark, Rutgers joined the Big Ten in the fall of 2014.
And why, David, quickly, before we get to the P&L statement, why did they join the Big Ten?
Well, because the Big Ten wanted them for the regional cable deals, and because, well, hell, joining the Big Ten, we'll make a lot more money. This will get rid of our budget deficits with all the money we got coming in from the Big Ten. This is fantastic. We're not making any money in the Big East. Yeah, we'll get our butts kicked, but who cares? Cash some checks. So Rutgers is finishing this spring into summer. Rutgers will finish its 12th year in the Big Ten. Rutgers has now lost through the first 11 years because they've only figured it out through the last fiscal year. Rutgers has now lost in 11 years $517 million. Just the athletic department.
I'm sorry. Can you give me that number again?
To review, 11 years, $517 million. Otani thinks it's a lot of money.
And on top of it, this past fiscal year, the number just came out, and it's the most they've lost in a year yet.
Nearly
$78 million loss.
Nearly $80 million. They're running their athletic department at a deficit of $1.5 million a week. A week. That's basically $200,000 a day that they're losing every day. You got to drop out of the Big Ten, don't you? I mean, no, seriously. You got to give it up, don't you? No, you're done. No, you tried. You did. You tried. And you couldn't pull it off. I mean, Mark, here's the other thing. All right, I'll just take it. Name me the championships that Rutgers has won since they've joined the Big Ten. You can pick any damn sport you want.
Well, David, I think we would have dead air if we did that.
No, there's two sports that they won championships in.
Really?
Yeah,
cross country and what? Lacrosse? I don't know.
Well, I appreciate
women's basketball. I mean, they were good at that for a while. They never won a title, though, did they?
No, they have not. Mark, I'm not talking national championships. I'm not talking Vivian Stringer back in the day. And by the way, she never won one. She got the 2 Final Fours. No, I'm just talking about a conference championship. Name me the conference championships that Rutgers has won in the last 12 years.
I don't know, David. I wasn't aware that they'd won any. Tell me.
Well, and Mark, they barely have. They won a men's postseason soccer Big Ten title.
Yay!
They won a women's regular season soccer championship. And apparently in the early 2020s, they won a field hockey championship. Now, these are just conference titles. That's it.
By the way, David, I don't know if you have this, and I don't mean to press you on it. Are all of those titles Big Ten titles? Because I'm not aware if the Big Ten all plays field hockey.
Well, according to this, under women's conference championships, it says Big Ten tournament champions field hockey 2021.
Okay. All right. Good to know. And David, I am not blaming Kelly Zinn, the new athletic director. She was hired in July of last year. So she's only been on the job for 7 months. So certainly it's not her fault. But I do have to quote her in what she said. Regardless of how we slice this thing, it's got to get better.
Really?
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Miss Zinn.
Wow. By the way, do you know how many football bowl games they have won since joining the Big Ten? And the 2014 football season was their first year in the Big Ten playing football. They
How
have
many
won
bowl games they've won?
Just in the last 12 football seasons.
All right.
They've been in
First
the Big
off,
Ten.
I don't know how many they've been. I'm going to say they've been to, I'm going to go nuts and say they've been to 4.
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I just know their bowl wins.
1.
2.
Oh, damn it.
Yep. They won a Quick Lane Bowl their first year in the Big Ten. And they won that Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl a couple years ago, Mark. Yeah. So to review, first 11 years in the Big Ten, they've lost $517 million. They've won 2 conference soccer championships, one male, one female. They've won a field hockey conference title. They've won 2 bowl games. I think you can pack it in, can't you, in all seriousness? No.
By the way, when they jumped into the Big Ten, their total expenditures for athletics were $70 million and change. They are now $193+ million.
Right. Yep. Now, this is with the new Big Ten TV deal, you know. I mean, this is factored in. This is getting nearly $70 million a year in TV money.
Right.
I mean, they just ran a $78 million budget deficit for the year with the new Big Ten TV money included. No. It's time, isn't it? I mean, seriously, I'm like, would the Big Ten really be upset if Rutgers just said, we tried, we couldn't pull it off. We're dropping down to the A10 level. Some sports are going away. We're broke. We're bankrupt in this university. We can't do this anymore. I mean, you can't get mad at them if they hold that presser by the end of the week, can you?
Oh, I think the Big Ten would be, here you go. Here's a parting gift, for crying out loud.
Well, it's another slice thrown back in. Everybody go, ooh, great. That's like $68 million. We all just made $4+ million by Rutgers going away. This is fantastic. In fact, we can offer that now to North Carolina, because apparently now they've got budget concerns and they have to build a new place to play basketball because the Dean Dome's not good enough. What the hell?
You know, what I first thought of when I saw this story, and I could be way off base, David, because I didn't do the research on it, but I do know that UCLA a couple of years ago had to borrow money from the university in order to pay their athletic deficit and other debts that they had in the athletic department. How can UCLA not be in a similar state? Because it's a big school, a lot of history, but they don't have the money of the USCs and the Michigans and the Oregons.
I don't get it. Listen, I don't get it. I've never understood. How come deficits count for us when we're sitting doing our bills at the kitchen table and they don't count in other areas of society? I've never understood it. But come on, man. I'm proud to be from Jersey. I have a soft spot for Rutgers. You got to pack it in. Close the doors. It's over. Come on now. You're losing $1.5 million a week, and you suck.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh yeah.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just
beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Team all risks, not to belabor the point, but if Rutgers had been able to recruit just its own state, they'd be top 20 in every major sport. New Jersey's a top 10 state for high school football talent. Never mind if they had just made a few inroads in the eastern part of Pennsylvania. It's absurd that Rutgers is not. At the very least, Rutgers should be a very solid program in every major sport.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour on this cold Tuesday. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to try to say, well, it's chilly. No, it's cold. It's cold. It's cold. It's cold. It's in the mid-teens in Huntsville. It's in the 20s in the northern half of Florida. It's in the low 30s elsewhere. And apparently it's going to be this way off and on for a week. Hell, they're going to play an outdoor hockey game in Tampa on Sunday, and they're worried it's going to be too cold. What in the wide world of sports is going on here? Time now for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
The Starting Five brought to you by Lee County, Florida. It may be cold, but Lee County is red hot, on fire, because they are building a better community through business, sports, and tourism. BST, baby. BST. We'll start with the NFL. Mike McDaniel, officially named offensive coordinator of the Chargers, took himself out of the running and got dropped to be the head coaching candidate elsewhere, so he's going to be with the Chargers. Chose the Chargers over the Bucks.
I didn't send it to you, but there's a guy that does some pretty funny videos, whether it's YouTube, X, TikTok, wherever you see it, where he plays both characters. He had a conversation between McDaniel and Harbaugh.
Yes.
It's spectacular.
Yes, it is.
Harbaugh likes pepperoni on his pizza. McDaniel liked pineapple. I mean, that kind of sums it up in a nutshell, but it was very well done.
Jags offensive coordinator Grant Udinski, he's 30. Technically, he didn't call the plays last year, but he's seen as this young offensive guru. Well, Udinski took himself out of the Cleveland head coaching search, but is considered a finalist for the Bills head coaching job. If he gets it, great. If not, he's going back to Jacksonville where they've given him a raise. Speaking of the Jags, okay, the Jags plucked the Tampa Bay Bucks running game coordinator, who was also their offensive line coach from last year. Cohen wanted to bring him when he got the job. Tampa Bay wouldn't let him. A year later, now they got him. By the way, the Browns job, remaining finalists are reportedly defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz, Rams passing game coordinator Nate Schilhaas, Commanders run game coordinator Anthony Lynn, and former Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Monken, reportedly, if he doesn't get the Browns job, is going to be the Giants OC. Schwartz, if he doesn't get the head job, is going to remain as defensive coordinator.
Yeah. If I'm Schwartz and I don't get the job, I'd leave. But I know he's under contract for another year, so he probably can't. Because it'd take 4 seconds for someone to hire him.
Got that right. Phillip Rivers took himself out of the Bills head coaching search. The Commanders have a new defensive coordinator. He's Durante Jones. He had been on Brian Flores' defensive staff the last 3 years in Minnesota. Shedeur Sanders is a Pro Bowl quarterback. That's not a joke. Well, it is a joke, but it's the truth. Because Drake May's in the Super Bowl, so they needed somebody to replace him. Here's the part that if you're the NFL, this has to be the truth, but they haven't said it publicly. Trevor Lawrence is a finalist for the MVP award. He was not named a Pro Bowl quarterback. Please tell me that they asked Trevor Lawrence, to go to the Pro Bowl? And he said, no, not interested. Spend the time with my wife and kid. I mean, at least release that publicly, because otherwise it's a really bad look. Drake can't make it because he's in the big game. Okay, who are we going to get to replace him? Shedeur Sanders, the second worst statistical quarterback in the AFC last year. Mark, one other note. Apparently the ban of Dave Portnoy by the NFL is over. Now, he's not going to be credentialed, but he is allowed to attend the Super Bowl. This has been a 12-year ban between the NFL and Portnoy.
That all started when the Barstool guys did a sit-in protest in front of the NFL offices because of Deflategate.
Yep.
That's what this is over. Now, Portnoy amplified it. He wore the Goodell clown shirts all the time, but Raj doesn't have much of a sense of humor.
No. National Football League never has. Never has. College football. The ACC made some news yesterday. First off, they announced they're moving their conference championship game from Saturday night, when it used to go head-to-head against the Big Ten, and they're moving it to the noon kick on Saturday. The Big 12, in turn, is going to play their conference championship game Friday night. So to review, first weekend in December, Friday night Big 12, then noon ACC, 4 o'clock SEC, 8 o'clock Big 10, and the other conferences do whatever you want when you want. The ACC then released its football schedule for next year. Florida State has 3 Friday night games and a Monday night game. And even though they only play 8 conference games, many people feel Florida State's got the toughest ACC schedule in football next year. By the way, the Noles game against the Gators, noon on Black Friday in Tallahassee. It'll be on ABC, but it's the early kickoff on Black Friday. Gators Noles. Make a note. By the way, people went online last night and got tremendous hotel deals. The hotels in Tallahassee were not ready for the ACC football announcement. Seriously, if you're planning on going, go online. You'll be shocked at what you can get rooms in Tallahassee for right now. It'll probably end sometime today, but I'm serious. Go. Meanwhile, the Canes. Mark, you remember the Canes?
I do.
Their first 3 ACC games are all on the road. Stanford, Wake Forest, and Clemson. They're going to host Florida State October 17th. They're going to visit Notre Dame on November 7th.
November 7th. Write that. I mean, that's the key part. The whole schedule to me is at Notre Dame, November 7th.
That is sexy. By the way, Miami's last 3 conference games are all at home. Duke, Virginia Tech, and Boston College. The Canes, by the way, will play 1 game on a Thursday and 3 on Friday. There are a lot of people saying, boy, the ACC did not take care of Miami. They've put them in a few scheduling quirks.
Yeah, they've got Virginia Tech, who's going to be better on a Friday night at home in November. I will say, you may say scheduling quirks, and they've got 2, gimme games, if you will, with Florida A&M and Central Michigan early. But the bulk of their schedule doesn't start until the Florida State game on October 17th, when it's not so damn hot. I think their season ticket package not bad because of that, because they get Florida State, they get Pitt, they get Duke, who's been good, Vatech and BC, all at home in October and November.
But at Clemson and at North Carolina and at Notre Dame. College hoop. 4th-ranked Duke bombed 20th-ranked Louisville 83-52. Cam Boozer, 19 points, 10 rebounds. The Blue Devils are 19-1. Showdown in Utah. Undefeated, number 1 Arizona held off 13th ranked BYU 86-83.
Running start to the basket. Here he comes. Boshkovich into right. And here we go. Right. Inside. Right. Step back. Rejected.
Wow. Braden Burries with the rejection. He led Arizona with 29 points. The Wildcats are 21-0.
Ties their best start ever.
Take a look at their schedule coming up in the next 3
Yeah.
weeks, by the way.
Uh-huh.
Ooh,
Big 12's good, and they're playing damn near everybody in the course of
yes,
2
they
weeks.
are. Yes, they are. And it started last night at BYU, 86-83 winners, Arizona. New polls came out on a Monday. Arizona, number 1, unbeaten Nebraska, number 5, unbeaten Miami of Ohio, number 24. Gators came in at 19th. Alabama came in at 23. 7 games in the association last night. Magic have lost 4 in a row. Cavs have won 4 in a row. Cleveland beat Orlando 114-98. Donovan Mitchell with 45. Orlando's just a game above 500.
Very disappointing season so far for the Magic. Yeah, a lot of time to turn it around and all that, but no one expected this season with the moves they made in the offseason for this team to be a 500 ball club in late January.
I believe they're the 8 seed.
Yes,
right now.
Miami's the 7, they're the 8, I'm pretty sure, David.
Charlotte led the Sixers by 50. 50. They won by 37, 130-93. Atlanta went on a 17-0 run in the second half, beat Indiana 132-116. Luka with 46. The Lakers went into Chicago, beat the Bulls 129-118. Peyton Pritchard with 23. Celtics over the Blazers 102-94. Boston quietly, second best record in the East. KD with 33. Rockets over Memphis 108-99. And the Warriors, they had beaten Minnesota the night before, so they played Minnesota again in Minneapolis. T-Wolves snap a 5-game skid. They won by 25. 4 games in the NHL. There were supposed to be 5, but the LA Kings Columbus game got postponed because of the weather. The Lightning, Vasilevsky with 28 saves, his second shutout of the year. Tampa Bay 2-0 over Utah.
Kucherov again to Raiders with a shot. Scores! There it is!
Lightning a winner. By the way, you did not hear his call, but longtime radio voice of the Lightning, Dave Mishkin, his 2,000th game last night for the Lightning. Hell of a career. Rangers rally, scoring the third to tie it. Matthew Robertson with the game winner in overtime. They beat Boston 4-3. Sorokin with his 6th shutout of the year for the Islanders, 4-0 over the Flyers in Philly. And Matthias Ekholm with a hat trick, Edmonton 7-4 over Anaheim. Baseball, San Francisco Giants signed center fielder Harrison Bader to a 2-year, $20 million deal. Tennis, women's quarters, 3rd seed Coco Gauff got routed. 12th seed Svitolina, 31-year-old Ukrainian, took her out 6-1, 6-2 in the quarters.
She'd been fighting throughout the tournament. She had a lot of 3-set matches. She hadn't dominated at all in this tournament, and then she got pounded last night.
Top seed Sabalenka made it through to the semis. Later tonight, an All-American quarterfinal between Pegula and Anisimova. Men's quarters, the 3rd seed Zverev took out the 25th seeded American Tien, 4 sets, 7-6 in the 4th. Top seed Carlos Alcaraz just advanced. He beat Australian De Minaur in straight sets. And finally, a remarkable story. 57-year-old Michael Schumacher, 13 years after a skiing accident, which left him bedridden, is now no longer bedridden. Now, he's still in a wheelchair, and I don't know if the family's going to let him be seen publicly, but arguably the greatest F1 driver of all time, 57 years old, long, arduous rehab, apparently his life getting just a touch better. And at 8 minutes before the hour, that was the starting five. 5 big stories you need to know, courtesy of Lee County, Florida. Getting ready for spring training when they hope the temperatures might reach the 50s. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Lawton Swann covers Clemson. He'll join us next hour to talk about how angry Dabo is since he's jumped into the transfer portal. Andy Baskin on who the hell the Browns coach is going to be this upcoming season. And Mike Miller covers college basketball for the Field of 68. He will also join us in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll come up with a poll question and have more. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. Thanks for spending your Tuesday with us.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit leecountybusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
For 22 years, we've been more than just a jewelry store. We're your neighbors at the Diamond District.
From custom design and expert repairs to gold buying, appraisals, and spa treatments for your jewelry, we do it all right here in the store.
Whether you're creating something new or bringing new life to a family heirloom,
our team handles every piece with care, craft, and experience.
22 years of dedicated service only at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Now, I know nobody shot 2 of 17, but the stud for BYU was 1 of 8 from three-point land in the first half. He had a bad game.
Yeah, AJ.
4 from the floor, 1 of 8 from 3-point. So, I mean, I know college basketball is way better than the NBA, but the star players stunk last night. And they lost by 3. Any ideas for a poll question, David? I mean, I do love your Shedeur Sanders, Phillip Rivers Pro Bowl question. That is high-level snark.
I mean, Rivers played 3 games, lost them all.
What's the worst Pro Bowl selection? Shedeur Sanders, Ty Huntley. But it's if they're not paying attention to, well, are you happy the playoffs stayed at 12?
Ooh, I like that.
I know we got a lot of time. Do you think either Vrabel or McDaniel have a significant coaching edge in the Super Bowl? McDonald, rather. Which NBA trade do you think needs to happen? That was just for fun.
Wow, that's hysterical. Although I have to admit, Giannis is becoming unglued.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday, on this cold Tuesday throughout the South. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Lawton Swann covers Clemson. We're going to hear from him about Dabo's outburst over the weekend and just where is the state of the Clemson football program, whether or not they can regroup or whether or not, well, they've had their moment in the sun. And now they're going to go down the road of fill in the blank. Andy Baskin, an hour from now. Does anybody want the Browns job? In all seriousness, would you take the Browns job, Mark?
Well, and I think, like the standpoint of the OC for Jacksonville that took himself out of it, McDaniel that took himself out of it. I don't blame these guys for not, and I know there's only 32 of these things. But do you honestly believe if you take the Browns job, in 3 years you can turn this team around? Now, they have a first-class defense. They do. And you're going to be able to keep Schwartz if you get the job. If he doesn't, for at least another year. He's under contract, so he's probably staying for one more. But can you turn it around? And I know I can do it, but in 3 years, can you turn this team into a playoff team? Now, based on what happens in the NFL, going from bad to good, and the fact, David, have we ever seen this division more in flux than it is right now? Cincinnati's got a quarterback, 2 receivers, and that's about it. They can't block and they can't defend anybody. Baltimore, which we thought had a great roster, perhaps upon further review between injuries and other things, they didn't. New coach there, a young coach who's never done it before, and who knows what direction Lamar's heading in. Pittsburgh with McCarthy, and, I was very surprised by the hire. They want him to develop their next quarterback. Who the hell is that? They spend way too much money on defense. They seemingly don't have a lot on offense, and we don't know who their quarterback is. So when you look at the Browns, if you take Haslam, the owner, out of the equation, and the fact that 2 numbskulls that are data-driven are running the franchise, you look at it and go, well, why couldn't you turn that around? But based on management and ownership, I would have trouble taking it.
I think if you're Jim Schwartz and if you're Todd Monken, older, for the most part career assistants, that you take the job because you'll likely never be a head coach again. But to me, if you're younger, you're a fool if you take the Browns job. I will try to put lipstick on the pig, and overcoming the front office and the ownership is a tall task. However, in theory, Mark, aren't the Browns 1 year away from cleaning up the roster and the cap? Isn't it just one more year of Deshaun at like an $80+ million cap hit, and then they can have some money and some roster flexibility next year? And in theory, they won't necessarily be good this year. They'll get another top 10 pick. It's supposed to be a rich quarterback draft class. They can get their hands on somebody and then begin the process in 2027 that other teams have begun in 24 and 25. That, to me, is the only selling point that Cleveland has, is that I believe, despite the ownership and front office incompetence, that the cap gets cleaned up in a year. Now, I would trade Myles Garrett right now. He got his record. Thank you very much. Okay, trade him while he's at peak value. He's the best defensive player in the NFL. Trade him. Acquire as many assets as I can.
They're in cap hell. And to David's point, they are one of, I believe I did the numbers right, 12 teams that right now are over the cap heading into next year. Now, we don't have the new cap number, so obviously that's going to change and help a bunch of teams out.
Yeah, it'll be between 295 and 300 is what people are expecting. I believe it was 272 this past year.
But David, and this is interesting to me, of the teams right now that are over the cap, there's a lot of them that are coming off of bad seasons. The Vikings are over the cap. The Dolphins are over the cap. The Browns are over the cap. The Saints are over the cap. And your Giants are barely over the cap or right at it, depending on how you look at the numbers. That's fascinating to me.
Now, some of those teams, the situation's actually going to get worse in the next 6 weeks. Like the Dolphins are over the cap, and the Dolphins haven't taken the Tua hit yet. The Dolphins haven't decided what they're doing with Tyreek yet. I mean, they may actually put, and in fact, it's likely they are going to put more on their cap for next year than what is currently scheduled to go on their cap. There are other teams that are in a position with a couple of bookkeeping moves to make their cap situation significantly better for next year. but some are not. And the Dolphins are expected to be one of those teams that if they make a couple of difficult choices, which I think a lot of their fans want them to make, that their cap situation next year is not going to be good at all.
By the way, every team in the NFC North currently is over the cap. Every single team. Packers, Vikings, Lions, Bears, all over. Chiefs are in as bad of a situation as any team in the league right now, as are the Cowboys, just for what it's worth. The Jags are over the cap. They've got moves that they have to make. The Bills are over the cap. So just, food for thought. And as David pointed out, I'm not an expert at the bookkeeping moves that have to be made. I don't know if David is either. It's just something to pay attention to here as we get to the offseason and teams will start effectively cutting players. But there's work to be done for some teams that we think quite a lot of. All
right.
That's why David mentioned, the Titans and Raiders. That's why, put it this way. Would you want the Raiders job or the Browns job?
Oh, my goodness, the Raiders job.
Right.
Yeah, I'd want the Titans job before I'd want the Browns job. And
Cardinals job or Browns job?
Cardinals. And by the way, that's saying something from me that I'd want the Titans job over the Browns job because I think she's the worst owner in the National Football League right now. I think that's the worst run organization in the league. I mean, do we have any more proof? They fired Mike Vrabel. Look what's happened to them the last 2 years. And look at what Vrabel did with competency and control. I don't know. Who's looking right here? Who's looking wrong?
Yeah, it may be the best free agent moves that any team's made in a long time. It's seemingly every free agent for the Pats hit this year.
Yeah, they had the Commanders type offseason. They brought in Dan Quinn. They had the great draft, Jaden Daniels, the offseason moves, and they went from 4 wins to 12 and the NFC title game. Well, the Patriots went further. They won more regular season games, and they went a game further. They're in the Super Bowl.
And 9-0 on the road. Unbelievable.
Now, back to Myles Garrett for a second. Micah got Kenny Clark and 2 number ones. Now, you also had to sign Micah. And the Packers doled out $188 million. Myles is signed. He can ask for whatever he wants. You look at him with a straight face and go, dude, I got you out of purgatory. You're going to play meaningful football for the first time in years. Okay, just go line up and shut up. But what would you give up for Myles Garrett? I mean, let's think about the teams that are close now. Let's think about the teams who could use somebody to get you a fourth quarter stop to seal the win. I mean, if you're Buffalo, and they don't have the cap space, but if you're Buffalo, what wouldn't you give for Myles Garrett?
Well, that's what I'm kind of looking at here. Not only of teams that could use him, but of teams, David, that have cap space. And by the way, who I'm kind of looking at right now as a pretty good contender for this?
How about the Chargers?
How about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Oh, look at you.
How about the Bucs?
Ooh.
Couple of reasons. Look at. Obviously, one, we know how much they could use him. I mean, they could flat out use him.
Of course.
Everybody. There's not a team in the league that couldn't use a Myles Garrett.
Right.
But the Bucs, for instance, they're picking 7 spots ahead of the Chargers. It's the 15th pick versus the 22nd pick, just for what it's worth there. They have cap space, so they could make it work financially. For Myles Garrett, little things. And for the Browns, I think Cincinnati is a great choice. But for obvious reasons, I don't see the Browns ever trading with the Bengals. I just don't see it. Not to mention the Bengals don't trade draft picks because they're cheap. So while it makes a ton of sense on the surface, as you dig a little deeper, it's something that likely wouldn't happen. But Tampa Bay, he likes to make big moves. He's not afraid to make a big move.
What if you're the Rams? Remember, you have 2 first-round picks this year. You have Atlanta's. Now, that 4-game winning streak at the end of the year really hurt. So you're picking in what, the low teens?
13, right?
Okay, and now they're picking their picks, what, 29?
Right.
So you've got 13 and 29.
You're trying to run this back one more time with Matt Stafford.
Well, if I'm Cleveland, I want this year's 2 1s and I want next year's 1 also.
Which is, more than likely going to be in the late 20s.
Probably, but that's what I want. Would you give it up if you're the Rams?
Done.
I'm with you.
By the way, believe it or not, for financial reasons, when you get all those ones, you can come up against it down the road. And we all know that ones aren't necessarily worth ones. I may ask for the 2 1s this year, the 2 this year, and the 2 next year. For starters, a little bit more flexibility financially if I'm the Browns, just for what it's worth. What would you give for Myles Garrett? $21,000. The Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. The keyword's Miller. Text it to 21,000 and let it rip. American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow and Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow and Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow and Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Sonny, I wouldn't make that trade in a million years. In a million years if I were the Browns. An aging running back and a 1 and a 2. First off, the Browns got a pretty good running back in the draft. That is not good compensation. Michael, I hate to tell you this. We can talk about the Broncos game all we want. All you've done, literally, since August, is come on here no matter what we're talking about. We can talk about basketball, college football, golf, hockey. It doesn't matter what the subject is, and you have 74 straight texts about the Broncos. If the chat room wants to annihilate you for a week about that game, they're allowed to. You have no say in this, okay? It was a bad coaching move. I'm probably going to say it every break. No, do not tell people what they can and can't do because you don't give a damn. You never have. You don't care what the conversation's about. You want to talk about the Broncos every day, all day, for 4 hours, okay? No. Doesn't work that way. If you're the Lions, you'd have to give up 2 1s. I'm just telling you, Michael, we can annihilate you on the Broncos. Okay, it's a chat room. You can't pick who you're talking to and what other people say. That's the whole thing. There's 100 people in here. They can do whatever they want because you do. Those are the rules. So you can't dictate the rules in the chat room. You think that you can, but you can't. You did it 2 days ago too, or did it when I was working alone. Don't talk to me like that, Puck. Whatever. They can say whatever they want. You do. Because they're nice. They text me what they really think, just so you know. All right, poll question, 12 games. What's the best job out of Raiders, Arizona, Cleveland, which I don't think 6 people would care about? That's fine, Sonny. All I'm saying is that a 1 and a 2 in Henry if I'm Cleveland, I'd hang up the phone. I wouldn't even answer you.
Sonny, he's a 31-year-old running back.
And they have they drafted a kid they like. He wasn't half bad. And they're not ever going to make a trade with the Ravens, too. That's the other side of this. Their fan base would crucify them. They could do it with Tampa. They could do it with Detroit. They could do it with the Rams. I wouldn't care. It comes with the territory. When you talk as loudly about your team for 6 months, Michael, you got to take this. You got to take all of it from everybody. Like I said, every day you come in here, no matter what the chat's about, and not even our show, whatever they're talking about, you come in and Broncos this, Broncos that, and you have 14 straight texts. I look at them every day. So, sorry, bud. If they want to attack you for a week, they've got the right.
So you've got what? Buffalo, Vegas, Cleveland, Arizona.
Yeah, I'd leave Buffalo out because we all know that's the best. Right. That's why I picked the other 3. Which coach is going to be more successful, the new Buffalo coach, the new Baltimore coach? Or we could go the other way.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X, Lawton Swann to join us, a little more than 15 minutes. When we get to the bottom of this Dabo tirade over the weekend, what's it about? And just talk a little bit about where is Clemson going forward? Is this just a patch and they can get around and through this quickly, or are they about to begin a generational Nebraska-Miami decline in which Nebraska is still trying to dig out of it, and it took Miami 20 years? So Lawton Swann coming up in a little bit.
Couple of texts we got here, David. Couple. We started on the trade front with Myles Garrett, and it got people offering their trades. But I thought it was fun when I was asking you the Cleveland job or the Arizona job, the Cleveland job or the Vegas job, and you quickly said the other job. Someone did text the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line. David doesn't want to write an essay for the Browns.
No, and I'll write an essay for a lot, but
yes. Yes,
not for the Browns.
Right, exactly. On the trade, a Bears fan says, I'd give up Montez Sweat, DJ Moore, and a pick or two. I mean, that's someone. Hey, look, I'm not,
Yeah, you got to remember, though, if you're the Browns and you're trading Myles Garrett, you're not acquiring veteran players, okay? Because you're not going to be good for 2 years. So there's no sense acquiring even a 29-year-old guy now who's 31 by the time you may show a pulse. You're acquiring them for picks, or very young players who are on their rookie deal, who you'll get a chance to offer them a second contract.
The DJ Moore part would intrigue me if I'm the Browns because they're just so bad offensively. That's why that's all. Someone else said if it's, and I think it's more than 2 first-round picks for Crosby, by the way, which this gentleman says. For Garrett, you've got to add another third and a fifth. I think you guys don't understand. You're starting at a minimum of 2 firsts and a second, and then more. Like, then a player that starts, David. I mean, to me, it's a starter and 3 picks just to get the conversation started.
Remember, Micah Parsons got 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. And a lot of people thought the Cowboys didn't get full value. What's Myles Garrett going to get? I know he's older, but, he's got a contract. I mean, in Micah's case, the Packers had to sign him, and they're paying him Myles Garrett money. So, yeah, I think you have to count on, particularly if the Browns were to say we're not interested in players, you got to offer 3 picks, and I think you got to offer 3 ones. Maybe you could get away with 2 ones and a 2, but I don't think so.
And like I said, 2 ones, 2 twos, because you have to value second-round picks as starters. You do. And every draft, there are only around 20 guys who have first-round grades. That's why my head's where it is there, David. But
can I go somewhere with a poll question?
Sure.
Potentially. So it's quite I don't know if it's statistical quirk, but it's just the way that it worked out. We talked about the famous draft class. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. Now, Josh Rosen was also involved, but he's obviously an all-time bust. But the other 4 first-rounders have all had varying degrees of success. But the thought was, which guy was going to reach the Super Bowl first, Josh Allen or Lamar? And lo and behold, who's the first quarterback from that draft class to reach the Super Bowl? It's Sam Darnold.
Yes, it is.
So first off, we can ask the poll question, who's going to reach the Super Bowl first? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson? They never will. Okay? Because,
by the way, what would your vote be on that? Because after this offseason, I'm leaning they never will. This was the year for Josh. I'm sorry. Here's the thing. I have trouble thinking they're going to be any better next year than they were this year.
This should have been the year for Lamar and the Ravens, though, too. I mean, we all thought they had the best roster in the league.
But we don't think that about Buffalo going forward.
No, and I don't think we're thinking about the Ravens going forward either. But it's a toss-up. Listen, I'm the guy who keeps bringing up the fact that teams and players may never get there. I'm the one always trying to rain on the parades. All right, Josh Allen will play next year at the age of 30. Lamar, I think, plays it at 29. Now, 30 is not a death sentence. 30 is not the end of your career. I mean, hell, Aaron Rodgers just played at 42. I mean, to think that these guys can't be productive quarterbacks in their mid-30s, sure they could. And besides, Elway was a different quarterback when he was 36, 37, and 38 than when he was 26, 27, and 28. And the teams had more success.
Okay. All right. Do you think either Lamar or Josh throw it 80% as well as John Elway?
No.
I mean, because I understand your point, but we're talking about a guy who was one of the best throwers of the football that's ever played.
Yeah. No,
We
I
don't
know.
think that about.
But I was just pointing out it, not the literal, Elway to Allen and Jackson, just pointing out that quarterbacks can transition. You can ask different things of them as they get older, and they can actually achieve more team success. That's all. It's going to be difficult to ask Lamar and Josh to continue to be supermen now that they're getting into their 30s. That's all. It doesn't mean the teams can't go to the Super Bowl with them, but they're probably not going to go the same way, which you would think transition Josh Allen would be a little easier. But who knows? Lamar's been to one AFC championship game. Josh has been to two. For all the winning, Mark, that those two quarterbacks and those two franchises have done. And so, I don't know if you want to ask that question.
I like that question. And a lot of people, not only in the chat room, but on the Pelican Roofing of Florida text line, keep bringing up Matt Stafford. Again, I'll say to all of you, who throws the football better? Matt Stafford, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. It's not an argument. It's Matt Stafford, and it ain't close. Matt Stafford never won games with his legs. Matt Stafford wins games with his arms. By the way, he won the Super Bowl 5 years ago. How old Stafford now?
37.
So he won it at 32.
Yeah, and it was.
I had a full question. I think you were gone, David. In fact, I'm positive you were, because I was playing the clips from the Pagula presser there with Bean. And I asked, how long does this new coach have to get the Bills to the Super Bowl to warrant the firing of Sean McDermott? And most people said 2 years.
Yeah, and I'd say 3.
And that, 1, 2, and 3 were the choices.
I'd say 3.
I was with you on 3. But I guess the point I'm trying to make, and I don't think I understand what you're saying, and it's not necessarily an argument with you, but when you start comparing Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen to quarterbacks who basically did it with their arm, it's not a fair comparison. I don't know what Steve Young did after the age of 32. That's a fair comparison, although I still think Steve Young threw the ball better than either of them. But a guy who did it with both his legs and his arm. Because the legs go away, guys. They just do. So the transition part, you're accurate on. I just don't know if they can be the 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage quarterback. I like where Allen is because the running back he has is young. He's got a running back that they can give the ball to 25 times. Problem is they don't have anybody to throw it to. And that's on the front office. Oh, I'm sorry. That was on McDermott. He drafted Keon Coleman, even though Bean's on the record on how much he liked Coleman right after the draft. We'll talk Clemson football, Miller and Moulton. That's next. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You would have laughed. I texted John yesterday to see if he wanted Pat's Everblades tickets because I can't go. And, of course, he checked, and he can't either.
That's
because I sent it to him. He's, let me check our schedule, get right back to you. I said, John, just trying to make your life a little better. I know how rough it's been these past few days. He responds with, you're a true friend. I laughed so hard. By the way, for you Southwest Floridians, and I know most of you in the chat room are, or at least were at some point, I-75 in Alico is damn near as bad as I-75 in Daniels. It's a zoo. I was heading up Alico yesterday, little after 5. Oh, my goodness. It's like an F1 race. It's not necessarily NASCAR Talladega, David. It is 3 wide, but it's more stop and go coming, even though there's no turns. It is something. Did you sent this guy, the first one's on Twitch, right?
uh-huh.
Okay. Just making sure. Beautiful, Sonny. Beautiful. Okay, I'll take your word for it. That your poll question is up, by the way, David.
Yeah, I voted.
Okay.
Oh, there he is. Good morning.
Hang on, I got to get him on. Lawton, good morning. Thanks so much for doing this.
Hey, guys. Glad to be with you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks for doing it this way, too. It sounds better for our audience than a regular old phone, so really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I hope I'm surviving the cold temperatures. I tried to put my AirPods in, and they were like, nope, not doing that today.
I was going to say,
how cold is it in Clemson, South Carolina right now?
Oh, man. It was like 19 this morning, so it's chilly.
Jeez. Good luck. for the next week. Good luck. Golly. Is the heat on in the car, or are you just?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Warming up the toes. I hope it's coming through all right. Everything good?
No,
Everything sounds good. Everything
looking
sounds good.
Okay.
Didn't think you'd have this much fun in the off season, did you, Lawton?
Man, I'll tell you what. The post I put up had like 640,000 views. I was like, good gracious.
It's nice when they can provide the material for you and you don't have to come up with it yourself.
Man, you're right about that.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. We'll head to Cleveland then for Andy Baskin. Does anybody want the Browns job? We'll talk college hoops with the field of 68's Mike Miller 1 hour from now. Thrilled to welcome for the first time Lawton Swann. He covers Clemson, has for a quarter century. Does a show on Fox Sports 1400, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Follow Lawton on X at Lawton Swann, SWANN. First off, thanks for doing this. Good morning. Secondly, how cold is it in Clemson, South Carolina this morning?
Yeah, it's chilly. It's like 19. My toes are cold. My AirPods didn't want to work, but I'm glad to be with you guys. And I'll be honest, that Lawton Swann account on Twitter, I don't do anything with that. So Clemson Sports is probably the best place to go. I don't know when the last time I posted on my personal account. I'm too busy with the business, you know?
Yep.
Well, that's a good thing, and obviously busier the past week or so because, well, everybody that follows Clemson, everybody that follows college sports has said, you know, Dabo's fallen behind. He needs to get involved in the portal. Well, he got involved, and he learned what the ugliness is of, you know, recruiting has its own ugly side. The portal, is it even uglier, Lawton?
I think in some respects, yeah. I think from the standpoint of the timing of how quickly these guys have to make decisions, you know, if you think about like the recruiting process for some of these guys, and Clemson's a little unique and they don't offer guys until their junior year. But if you think about some of these guys, you get courted and visited and you get a bunch of different things that go on over a course of years. Whereas it's like, I think Dabo Swinney kind of explained it like, you know, getting married in Vegas. I mean, it's like speed dating. And these guys feel so compelled to make decisions quickly because they have to get enrolled at school. Like that was the second part of Dabo Swinney's, I think his big message is that there are so many issues with the timeline of all of this that it really does make it where players and coaching staffs are in a really bad spot. And so I think that's probably part two of the more significant aspects of all of this.
Lawton Swann, ClemsonSportsTalk.com. Follow him on X at Clemson Sports, Clemson Sports. So was his big part of his diatribe over the weekend that Ole Miss cheated? Oh, they didn't cheat, but they were unethical / immoral. What point do you think he was trying to really make?
Well, I think if you think about before the portal officially opens, you can't, or you are not supposed to already be in contact with players who are at specific schools. And back in December, when Clemson knew they were going to have to be a little bit more aggressive in the portal, Swinney was asked about that. He was asked, well, will you kind of do any back networking to try to figure out, you know, relationships that you can have right when that portal opens? And he said, no, we're not doing that. We're going to do it the right way. We're going to wait till the portal opens. I think the message that Dabo Swinney had in this moment was that this kid, Luke Farrelly, committed to Clemson. He was on campus in classes and receives a text message from Pete Golding down in Oxford saying, hey, and again, we don't have the actual text in front of us, but if it's true, he said, I know you're signed. That says, look, I get it. I know you're signed. What's the buyout? To me, that's the direct implication of tampering that Dabo Swinney is bringing to the table, because this is a kid that's already on campus. This is a kid that's taking classes. This is a kid that's moved to Clemson. This is a kid that's in team meetings and working out with the team in off-season conditioning. And to me, in that moment, he's a Clemson player. If Ole Miss wanted him at that point, they should wait till the portal opens next year, pay him whatever they want to pay him, and get him the right way. Nobody in Clemson's complaining that Steph Green went to LSU and Clemson will open up the season against the Bayou Bengals this coming year. It's the fact that, hey, Lane Kiffin, for all the muckety-muck that he's dealt with from the standpoint of what happened in Oxford himself, he got Steph Green the right way. They went through the right process. And when Dabo Swinney, I think, sent the warning that said, hey, we know what's going on here, thinking that Pete Golding and Ole Miss would back down, and they didn't, I think that's when the steps really went forward, because Dabo Swinney's got a whole lot more in his war chest of success than 4 or 5 weeks of Pete Golding at Ole Miss.
There's no doubt there. The line was, it's not just tampering, it's blatant tampering. I've got to ask you, because I think we're all a little unsure of the rules. At the end of the day, did Golding and Ole Miss break any rules?
Yeah, I think they did, absolutely, because the kid's enrolled at Clemson. He's a Clemson student athlete at that point, and you're not supposed to be contacting those guys unless they're in the portal. Now, did the kid jump back in the portal, which is something I don't think anybody know they could do? Sure, but he wasn't in the portal when they're contacting him, and that's the crux of the matter, because you're not supposed to do that at any point during the year. It's supposed to be once the guys get in the portal. That's why they have that do not contact description that they can put in on their bio. You hear that sometimes. A guy went in the portal with a do not contact tag. That again is a situation where the player has entered the portal, and Luke Farrelly may have entered the portal previously, but he was now committed to Clemson and had accepted the deal. I think the agent too, whose name eludes me at 7:43 in the morning, I think the agent too over at Athletes First is complicit in this, because when Clemson asked him for the text messages, according to what Dabo Swinney said, he said, well, if you'll extend Luke's deal at Clemson, I'll turn over the evidence that I have. And Dabo Swinney's GM, Jordan Sorrells, at that point immediately said, we're not doing that. So I don't know what the definition of blackmail and extortion is and how it pertains to recruiting, but that kind of feels like it. Like, I'm only going to give you the evidence if you give us more. When these agents are making between like 20 and 30%.
Lawton, Swann, ClemsonSportsTalk.com, Fox Sports 1400 in Clemson, South Carolina. Follow him on X at Clemson Sports, Clemson Sports. Is Dabo looking for the ACC commissioner to get involved? Is he looking for Baker, the president of the NCAA? I mean, is he looking for the arm of the law to come in here and negate this deal, or was he just taking 8 minutes at a presser to point out that the current system sucks?
I think it's a little of both. And I think his message to other coaches that are trying to do things the right way. And that's a unique idea, I think, in this cutthroat, win at all cost mentality that so many coaches have, to say, hey, if you guys know about tampering and other situations where this has happened to you, come out and say something. Because I think until coaches, and I think ultimately the commissioners, they certainly have their job, and whether or not Jim Phillips will do anything or not, I don't know, it's significant. But coaches, right? And this is where Dabo Swinney went into his thoughts on education and the value. And that's one of the things in all of my years of covering college football that I never wanted to lose. And I hope the majority of fans never wanted to lose that, because I think that's what we feel like it's kind of slipped through our fingers and we can't get it back, is the idea that when I was in my chemistry class, and I understand everybody doesn't go to college and that's all well and good, but when I'm in my chemistry class and the starting linebacker's in that same room with me, we're kind of on the same level, right? We're still eating Papa John's pizza or whatever and chilling out downtown on the weekends if we get an opportunity. When that all, kind of goes away and education becomes the sideshow of all this, we don't really have college sports. And I think that's what people, whether you're a Clemson fan, a Florida State fan, it doesn't matter who you root for, I think you still want that aspect of it. Because I know this, like, I love professional football, but when I go to the game, I don't know about you, but I'm looking around like, this long snapper's making $650,000, like, it doesn't compute. And I'm sad to say that I think college football has kind of crossed over into that realm. I'm just still hopeful that enough coaches and administrators and people who are, have significant pull in this sport will come together and try to get something right, because guys like you and I and all your listeners who have followed this sport for so many years barely recognize what we see, and it happens so quickly. I'm not saying players shouldn't be paid. I'm not saying players shouldn't be able to transfer, but my goodness, we need to have some sort of legislation in there that brings this kind of back to the middle, because right now we have gone way far away from the sport that we all grew up with.
Well, and Baker at the NCAA isn't going to do anything. I think you kind of laughed when we talked about Jim Phillips doing anything, David, and the commissioners are beholden to their coaches. So, and then you have agents, as you pointed out, making a lot more than professional sports agents, and there are no laws or no bylaws to be an agent of a college athlete. That's even a bigger problem. If you want to be an NFL agent, you have to be certified by the NFL. Anybody can be an NCAA player's agent, and that lends itself to a whole nother set of problems. All right, on the rest of the portal, because Dabo's not done a lot of this, has he had any other success or had any success in the portal this year? And how much fundamentally is Clemson, I guess, finally changing with the times?
Yeah, I think from the standpoint of the Clemson perspective, fans still have a lot of concern about the quarterback spot and whether or not Clemson should have gone in and brought in a transfer quarterback. I'll jump back to that in a minute. But they only took one guy on the offensive side of the ball, and that was the speedy running back out of SMU, Chris Johnson. I do think he'll be a good change of pace back for the Tigers. I know, Clemson saw him up close and personal this year in Death Valley. He's an electric playmaker. They need that on that side of the ball at the running back spot. And I think with Chad Morris coming in, there's this feeling that Clemson is going to get back to some of the eye candy and razzle dazzle that they saw from 2011 through 2014. Every other guy, the other 9 guys they brought in, or 8 without Luke Farrelly, which would have been a great pickup. I mean, Farrelly was the ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year, and Clemson would have been pairing him with Sammy Brown at linebacker. So that would have been a huge get for the Tigers. But yeah, I mean, on the other side of the ball, they addressed some needs in the secondary, and then ultimately, it's going to be kind of I think it's a little bit of a toss up with what you get when you go down to some of the lower ranks and bring guys up. But I've challenged my listeners, and I would challenge your listeners as well, regardless of who you follow. If you see a kid that comes from a smaller program and you think, well, that kid can't possibly play at this level, just go pull up an NFL roster. There are tons of guys that are really good at smaller schools that either they didn't get recognized coming out of a small high school, maybe they didn't have the grades initially to get into some of these bigger programs that can play the game. And so I would challenge everybody, if your coaching staff brought in a guy and you panicked about it, like that guy's not going to be able to play for us, go look at the NFL rosters. You're going to see a lot of schools and maybe players you don't remember at all collegiately. So I think that's where the portal is benefiting some of these guys that are working their way into the higher levels of the sport. But for Clemson, back to the quarterback situation, Christopher Vizina didn't really play a whole lot this year. Really got one game where he started, and he looked okay in that game. And then Chris Denson had some moments late in the season. But again, you haven't really had a chance to know who's going to be the guy behind Cade Klubnik. And now with Chad Morris coming in, who's a quarterback guru, he's worked with a lot of guys. The questions were, is Clemson going to go out there and get a guy in the portal? And they didn't. And so they were asked about that. Chad Morris and Dabo Swinney were asked about it. Swinney insinuated, hey, that was my decision. But Chad Morris said he felt like there was, enough there that they've got. They're bringing in Tate Reynolds, who they like, and Brock Bradley, another freshman that's coming in. So if Chad Morris can sort of create more out of these young quarterbacks than Garrett Riley did, then maybe not taking a guy in the portal at quarterback will be okay. But I think there's a lot of trepidation from Tiger fans that if you saw a guy who was preseason one of the top picks in the country and Cade Klubnik performed the way he did this past season, why would they feel comfortable with the guys you currently have if they couldn't beat Cade out at any point? And I think that's a valid question. And I guess the season will tell the story for Tiger fans.
Lawton, we've got no more than 90 seconds. Level of concern that this is just a blip and Dabo needs to adjust, but everything will be okay, or that we've had our 10, 12-year run and we're going to become Nebraska for 20 years. I'm just curious, level of concern in Clemson.
Yeah, I think the expanded playoff makes things much more difficult for everybody, across the board. Whether or not Clemson can get back to where they once were in terms of, elite of the elite and one of the top two teams in the country, I think it's tough to say. But I do think Dabo Swinney is, he's slowly coming around to some of this stuff with the portal. And ultimately, I think if there are enough good kids out there. I do believe this. There are enough good kids out there who still want to play for him because of the things he represents. It might not always get you the best of the best, but I do think they feel like they're going to get players who have really good and high character. And I think that's something that you see showing up in graduation rates where they lead the country, and also in the fact that there's not a lot of off-the-field issues in Tigertown as well.
Lawton Swann, ClemsonSportsTalk.com, Fox Sports 1400 in Clemson. Follow him on X at Clemson Sports. Lawton, thanks for doing this. Hope you're warmed up by now. Good luck with the cold the next week or so, and hopefully we can do this again.
Guys, always appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Lawton Swann, ClemsonSportsTalk.com, Clemson Sports on X. Getting to the bottom of Dabo's little tirade and where he and they go from here.
Yeah, Dabo was not happy, and it's fascinating that he finally jumps in the portal. And, we listen to, whether it's Calipari or Izzo in basketball complain about a lot of things. He's one of the few college football coaches I've heard complain about anything in the current system, David.
It will be interesting to see if he can get somebody to back him up. Like, Self and Calipari and Izzo, they're kind of joining forces. Who's going to join with Dabo?
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best. Be Cape.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This is coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy. Get your tickets at RedSox.com and Twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Honey, you want to come out? I haven't seen you since Glass Doctor installed our custom shower enclosure.
No thanks.
Well, you can't keep eating breakfast in the shower, and laminating your magazines is getting expensive. You remember we have guests coming over tonight, right?
Oh, I'm sure they'd love to see the shower.
It's our neighbors, and I highly doubt they want to be hanging out in our bathroom.
The shower's so good, you'll never want to leave. Visit glassdoctor.com today and schedule an appointment online.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and
For
sound.
22 years, we've been more than just a jewelry store. We're your neighbors at the Diamond District.
From custom design and expert repairs to gold buying, appraisals, and spa treatments for your jewelry, we do it all right here in the store.
Whether you're creating something new or bringing new life to a family heirloom,
our team handles every piece with care, craft, and experience.
22 years of dedicated service only at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
morning there. I want to go with Kenny, but I don't know what the heck that LR Kenny thing is. I will say, for the person saying Lawton's a popular name outside of Colorado, maybe in the South, because I had never heard of a lot of Lawtons until I moved south. I don't think it's very popular in Michigan or New Jersey. It could be, but that's my first Lawton, and I've been doing interviews for 20 years. I think that's more of a Southern name, isn't it?
The only other Lawton I ever knew was the former governor of Florida. Hey, Kenny. So who was the Lawton in your family? I hope everybody appreciated that. I thought he was really good. My mother's grandfather. Okay.
Andy's line is saying it can't take calls right now. I'm texting him. It shouldn't take long here.
Okay.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
We are halfway home, at least in Jacksonville, Tampa, St. Pete, and Fort Myers, Naples. It's cold in all three places. It's going to be cold in all three places for another week. Bundle up, suck it up, Buttercup. That's what we've got to do. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Mike Miller in about 35 minutes to talk all things college hoops. Been a tremendous college basketball season. A little over 2 months in. Did you see the stat? And we'll get to this with Mike coming up. Did you see the stat? The 10 teams that are in the top 10. Do you know how many total losses they have?
Off the top of my head, I would. How many out of the top 10 you said?
Top 10 teams in the country. I'd
say you've got 2 undefeated in Nebraska and Arizona. You got a bunch of 1-loss teams.
Right.
A couple of 2. I'm going to say 11.
Great guess. It's 12.
Okay. Because I know Sparty's got 2 and they're in the top 10, so I figured there'd be a couple others like that.
I think there's 1 3-loss team, and you're right, 2 undefeateds, like 3 1-losses and what have you. Anyway, it adds up to 12.
You know, if we were to do a college basketball poll question, David, I was actually thinking which of the 3 undefeated will remain undefeated the longest? Arizona, Nebraska, Miami of Ohio. For the record, I'd go with C, Miami of Ohio.
Ooh, look at that. Arizona beginning a gauntlet over the next 3 weeks last night with the win at BYU. Nebraska getting in the heart of Big Ten play. But to go back to, so the top 10 teams in the country have a combined total of 12 losses. Remember, this is the final week of January.
Right.
Okay. We only have 5 more weeks left, really, of the regular season. We start maybe 6 in some big conferences, and then it's conference tournament time, etc. 12 losses amongst the top 10 schools. A year ago at this time, do you know how many losses there were amongst the top 10? 34. Look at that difference. Talk about how rich is the cream at the top of the sport this year compared to other years. And you can't say it's bad scheduling because, as it so happens, there have been more ranked teams face one another in the first 10 weeks of a season than ever before. There was actually tremendous non-conference scheduling this year in the sport. So we seem to have a bunch of quality teams. I mean, maybe even not just 2 seeds, but 3 seeds that can genuinely win a natty. So that's how good the top of the sport is this year.
Big system night tonight, David. Big system night. Our system took a beating over the weekend. It had been going along just swimmingly. We were 5 games over 500. When the show ended on Friday, we're a game below 500 heading into tonight.
Yep.
The record, there's 4 of them. 4 tonight, I think, or 3 tonight. No, 4 tonight, and we'll see. Sparty, nearly a 15-point favorite over the juggernaut that is Rutgers. They're awful, and Sparty's been pounding everybody. Virginia, 9.5 over Notre Dame. Notre Dame's not very good. Arkansas, just 2.5 at Oklahoma, so you kind of almost need an outright win by the Sooners. And then the Indiana rivalry, Purdue, is in Indiana, where the Boilermakers are a 5.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I have to admit, it doesn't look good on paper.
No, it really doesn't, David.
It's
it
screaming,
really doesn't.
It's screaming 1-3 to me. Our poll question today we think is interesting because, well, I mean, we were talking about, what class was it again? Is it the 2018 class? I think it was. I think it was the 2018 draft class. And which quarterback would get to the Super Bowl first? Well, the answer turned out to be Sam Darnold. Baker went 1. Darnold went 3. Josh went 7. Now, Rosen went 10, and Lamar went 32. But here we are, all these MVPs and wins later, and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson are still waiting to play in their first Super Bowl. And it ends up being Sam Darnold, who's on team number, is it 4 or 5? I mean,
I think it's 4, David, but
I think it's 5. He went Jets, Carolina, and then remember, he was Purdy's backup 2 years ago when they lost in overtime to the Chiefs with the Niners. Okay, he's on his 3rd team in 3 years. So I think it's 5. I think
it's 5. No, you're right.
So
Jets, Carolina, San Francisco, Minnesota, Seattle.
So it turns out it's Sam Darnold on team number 5 who ends up being the first quarterback from the class of 2018 to make it to the Super Bowl as the starter, as he jokingly told somebody, well, I made it 2 years ago, ... So the question now we ask you, all right, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, or neither will ever make it.
64% of you in the early voting going with neither.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
That's what I voted.
Really?
Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
So you don't think in the next 5 to 6 years that either the Bills or Ravens will even get to the Super Bowl?
No, I don't.
Well, then you have to remember that when we're making picks these next few years. You can't pick Buffalo or Baltimore to go to the Super Bowl.
I'm not going to.
Okay.
I'll probably vote for Jacksonville the next 5 years to go to the Super Bowl, David. I'm kidding. I mean, remember that, look at, and Kansas City's got a lot of work to do. They have salary cap problems. They have holes in that roster, but you have to, if we were just ranking AFC quarterbacks, Mahomes is 1. Is Allen 2, or would you put Burrow ahead of Allen? And let me ask you this going forward, because Josh Allen runs a lot. This year, he was banged up more than any other year that he's ever played. He's getting older. If he continues to run, I would say that would be the case. Going forward, would you rather have Josh Allen or Joe Burrow?
Well,
I know you love Joe Burrow, but there's a lot. I mean, there's a lot you can get on Burrow about.
I know. First off, you asked me 2 questions. You asked me who's better. Well, Josh Allen has been better. Okay,
Yep.
it's close, but Josh Allen has been the better quarterback.
Agree.
Now, going forward, who would I want? Since they're both beginning to transition, how soon does Josh Allen become not a pocket passer, but, not what he's been? Probably within the next 2 years. Joe, who's already made the big game once and has beaten Josh twice in the playoffs, by the way. I think going forward, I might take Joe because of the transition phases of their career, and Joe already plays that style of ball. Goodness knows I'd want the guys Joe's throwing to, but boom. But, I mean, this is so close. I mean, think about how close Josh Allen's been. That 13-second game, they're going to host Cincinnati in the AFC Championship game. They're going to the Super Bowl 4 years ago. They're going. They're 13 seconds away. 13 seconds. They're going to host the AFC title game. They're going to win it. They're going to the big game. Then 2 years ago, when they had 3rd and 4th and inches and they couldn't convert it. Or did they convert it and get a bad spot? I mean, they have been frighteningly close to getting over the hump. And if they had gotten past Denver 10 days ago, I mean, they already went to New England and won once. I mean, he's been so close. Mark, this really is, you brought him up earlier. This is a little Steve Young-esque with the Niners in 92 and 93, losing a couple of NFC title games, having some really good regular seasons before that until finally they broke through in 94. Favre banging his head up against the Niners and the Cowboys before finally breaking through. By the way, another poll question that we could have asked, who makes the Super Bowl next? Lamar, Allen, or Mahomes? Because I got to be honest with you. I'm more bullish on the Bills and the Ravens than I am on the Chiefs.
Yeah, and I'm not. One, we're dealing with 2 brand new coaches in Buffalo and Baltimore. And in Baltimore, it's a guy who's never done it before. And I don't know if it's that Pat's beat me up so much over the past 15 years about how hard it is. And look, at first-year coaches had some great success. And the guy in Seattle here in 2 years done one hell of a job, and he's at a Super Bowl. So I get it. You can poke holes in this argument. But one, I'll take Andy Reid over whomever they hire in Buffalo and over Minter and Baltimore. I think the Baltimore roster is better. I think Buffalo's roster is better, but not that much. And one quarterback likes to throw. The other 2 like to run. When in doubt, we use our legs. Well, that can't keep happening. Now, this isn't just getting to a Super Bowl, but, there haven't been, and we have Brady and we have Elway. There are not a lot of guys over the age of 34 that have won Super Bowls. We're just saying get there.
But the drought can happen very quickly. Remember, Tom Brady went 10 years in between Super Bowl appearances. Those 10 years were the guts of his 20s and the first half of his 30s. Well, 10 years before winning one. He got to 2, but the Giants beat him both times. But I mean, it'll be interesting. I mean, that's what we talked about it all during the season. Did the Mahomes, Allen, Lamar guard have their run? And now it's time for Trevor, Drake, Bo, etc. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit leecountybusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Michael, I believe we're going to be talking the Olympics with the Washington Post staff.
Put a long shot in just a second ago for a guest, David. Caliendo's going to be in Naples this weekend. Captain Brian shot me down because they're already sold out, and he's not going to ask because he doesn't need it. John gave me his old PR guy, which was his brother, and I just sent the text and we'll see. Again, all they can do is say no.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Mike Miller from the field of 68 to join us coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. Miller and Moulton, MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question, now that Sam Darnold becomes the first quarterback from the draft class of 2018 to start a Super Bowl, who's next? Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson? Neither will ever do so.
The neither percentages are going up, David.
Wow. That's a long time, folks. That's a long time. Really?
I think that presser in Buffalo is in people's head right now. I know it's in mine. The dysfunction of that organization looks apparent. Now, Bean could end up being great. He could end up knowing what he's doing. Maybe it was McDermott with the roster, although, a lot of quotes from Bean that really make it seem like Ian Coleman was his guy. Don't know what to tell you.
Well, I will say, aren't you a little surprised that the Bills candidates list is what it is? I mean, put it this way. I know the Steelers got a lot of grief for Mike McCarthy. Shouldn't Buffalo have hired Mike McCarthy? I mean, he's a winner. He is. He's 18 years. He averages 10 wins a year. He's won a Super Bowl, for goodness sakes. You guys haven't done that in Buffalo. Okay? Mike McCarthy wins games. Mike McCarthy develops quarterbacks. Mike McCarthy can put up with the egos of quarterbacks. I mean, I think if Buffalo had hired Mike McCarthy, I know people think his system's a little outdated. There's not enough motion in it. Okay, it's not modern enough. I don't know. Did offense ever seem the problem in Dallas with Dak? Anybody think the offense was holding them back when they won 12 games 3 years in a row? Anybody?
That was really my question on McCarthy, is that does his offense, and I think you make a fair point with Dallas, does that offense or his offense, and typically with coaches getting older, is the game, I don't want to say passing him by. I don't think that's fair. But has he changed enough about the way he runs his offense? I mean, let's just look at Aaron Rodgers. And I know one's a coach, one's a player. But Aaron Rodgers wanted to really simplify offense. He doesn't like a lot of motion. He'd like to be able to do things, I guess, the way he always has. Well, the game's changed. What teams do to help their quarterback with motion, with the eye candy, with all of the things that are seemingly working more now. He doesn't do a lot of that. That's my worry for Pittsburgh. Can he develop a quarterback there? Who the hell that quarterback is, I have no idea. But to your point in Buffalo, he had a quarterback that didn't need to be developed.
I mean, if you're Buffalo, you got rid of McDermott for one reason only. You need to get over the hump, right? Well, how many coaches out there have gotten over the hump? I mean, don't you think it's a tough sell? And I'm a Dable guy. I am. Okay. I think the Giants were a mess. Okay. He took a 5-win roster and won a playoff game with it one year. I think he can coach. He's got some flaws. I'll admit that. Okay. But I mean, is Brian Dable the guy to get you over the hump? You're the Bills. You don't need much more. You mean to tell me Mike McCarthy would not be that guy? He's done it.
Did make the playoffs 3 or 4 years in Dallas.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. This coaching search concerns me. It does. If I'm a Bills fan, this is bothering me. Now, I think they're going to end up with Dable, and the hierarchy, the fans want Dable. Okay. So, okay, red meat to the Lions, the whole deal. He obviously gets along great with Josh Allen. Okay. Josh became Superman under him, the whole deal. But, I mean, they got rid of Tony Dungy in Tampa to get over the hump. Now, Gruden hadn't gotten over the hump before, but he had gotten as far as Dungy, if not a touch further. I mean, are you really going to replace the guy in Buffalo with a first-time coach? With a guy who, well, he's done it before, but he's got, I mean, Dable's 20 games below 500, for goodness sakes. I love him, but, I mean, that's a tough sell, isn't it?
It's a really tough sell. And, I mean, I guess Dable's better than Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, okay. But, I mean, we're going to hire the 30-year-old guy from Jacksonville?
And let him, who didn't call plays in Jacksonville.
Well, but I don't care about that, because to me, a head coach is a leader of men. I don't care if they've called plays before.
Okay. But all right. I understand your point, and I back you basically 99.9%. But you're hiring a 30-year-old who's never called plays. So we're taking him from a guy who didn't really run any part of a team to being in charge of the entire team.
Well, I hear you. That's why, to me, I would have been fine if they hired Mike McCarthy. You stand up there and you go, this guy's won the Super Bowl. That's what we're trying to do. We've never done that before. There aren't many guys available, by the way, who have his resume. Just saying. I'm just saying. Now, for whatever reason, and I don't know if it's his appearance, because, he looks a little dumpy. Okay. And, I don't know. And then he grew the beard in Dallas, and he didn't have playoff success in Dallas. I don't know what it is. But, I mean, do we need to go through Mike McCarthy's record in Green Bay? I mean, I think he went to 5 NFC championship games. Now, he only won the one, but, I mean, this does concern me if I'm a Bills fan. It's like, okay, we got rid of the guy because, I mean, listen, why'd they get rid of Dungy? Because they didn't think that Tony could get him over the hump doing it the way he was insisting on doing it in Tampa. By the way, Glazer was right. And Sapp and Brooks and Lynch and Barber will all back him up and say he was right. They love Tony to death. They don't love Gruden the same way, but they were not winning a Super Bowl doing it Tony's way anymore in Tampa. He made the right move. What the hell are they doing in Buffalo?
By the way, the candidates that I'm seeing in Buffalo, Daboll, obviously one of them. Lou Anarumo, who's the Colts DC.
Right.
Joe Brady, the OC in Buffalo right now. Anthony Lynn, who's with the Commanders as their run game coordinator. Udinsky, the guy from the Jags, and Anthony Weaver, the Dolphins DC. That's what's out there. That's what's being reported. as the candidates at this moment. Any of those blow your doors off?
Any of those guys fit the criteria of why we're firing Sean McDermott? I mean, I think you can argue Dable just because of his history with Allen. I mean, Allen's supposedly sitting in on the meetings for the coach's job, supposedly sitting in on the interviews.
Mike Miller will switch gears and talk college hoop next. Andy Baskin had some phone issues. He'll join us top of the Diamond District bonus hour on Miller and Moulton.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Mike's on.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. Andy Baskin will join us from Cleveland at the top of the hour. Mike Miller, kind enough to join us once again. He runs the Field of 68. Nobody covers college basketball better than the Field of 68. Follow Mike on X, Mike Miller F68. Mike Miller F68. Mike, it's David and Mark. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I mean, I stayed up a little late watching a terrific basketball game last night, but, I'm good. Thanks, guys.
Well, this has been an incredible year. We talked about it between the young man from BYU, the boozer at Duke, the freshman at Illinois. I mean, obviously there are great deep teams. This season seems to be loaded with talent across the board.
Yeah, I mean, you're referencing a whole season, of course, and then Saturday we had 3 freshmen all score 40 points, and one of them, Keaton Wagler from Illinois, was ranked in the 300s just 2 years ago. Did not play for a prep school academy, did not play on the AAU circuit, came in Illinois unheralded, and he's going to be one and done. He's going to be in the contention for Big Ten Player of the Year. It's an insane amount of freshman talent. And it's not just freshmen who go and play one-on-one and hog the ball and just get up shots. These are all freshmen who actually are really committed to winning, to what old school people would say, play the right way. If you guys have watched Cameron Boozer much at Duke, he stuffs the box score, but he also might be their best passer. He's a terrific rebounder. Just really, really impressive year for what the freshmen have done to elevate the sport overall.
Well, it's pretty impressive when you could say he's better at his age than his dad. I mean, that's how good a player he is. But, Mike, you used the word insane a moment ago. How about this insane stat, which I think we got from the Field of 68, that a year ago at this time, the top 10 teams in the country had 34 losses. Today, the top 10 teams in the country have 12. I mean, that's insane.
It is. And it's the first time, I think, since 2006 that we've had 3 teams that started the year 20-0, and one of those teams, Miami of Ohio, is a team that just got ranked, and it's one of those years where in a normal year, if you didn't have freshmen, if you didn't have all these really top-heavy teams, you'd be talking about Miami of Ohio. You'd be talking about Nebraska, for crying out loud, in 20-0. And it's just all these things. It's an incredible confluence of events that I hope elevates the sport continually through the end of March.
There'll be one more loss because tonight Nebraska plays Michigan. Is Nebraska, we pay attention to the point spread. It's either a good thing or a fault of ours, Mike. There's no other way to look at it. But Nebraska, it doesn't matter. They go on the road. They're barely a favorite. They're a 10.5-point dog. Is Nebraska being disrespected, or are they way over their skis?
I don't know if they're way over their skis. They might be a little overranked where they are. I think they're 5th in the AP poll. They're probably more in the 9-10 range, but they're really good. They've got size. They've got 2 guys who are 6'10" and can play all over the floor. They've got their own freshman contributors. They've got a classic pass-first point guard. They're really connected. They haven't lost since last year. You guys have not be forgiven if you forget they won the crown last year. So their win streak is actually 24 games or 25 games going back to last March. And it's a team that stuck together from last year. It's not a team that had to deal with a bunch of transfers. How they cope with Michigan tonight will be interesting because Nebraska does 2 things really well. They are quite adept at forcing teams into taking bad mid-range shots. But if there's a team that can fight against that and doesn't really care about that, it's Michigan. They've got the size to go inside, and they've got the 3-point shooting outside. But Nebraska also is really good at making mid-range shots. which is the thing Michigan excels at. They lead the nation in 2-point distance for field goal attempts. The team that usually shoots the ball about 9 feet away from the rim because they've got a 7'3" protector and two other guys who are 6'9". But those are the shots Nebraska makes. And regardless if they win or lose tonight, they host Illinois again later this week. Nebraska's already won at Illinois. They've beaten Michigan State. They're a real team. They're no joke. They're also certainly going to finally get that first NCAA tournament win. They're the only Power Conference team that's never won an NCAA tournament game.
Mike Miller, Field of 68, field68.com. Mike, I can't believe I'm saying this. Purdue is the 5th highest ranked team from the Big Ten. I didn't know if Purdue was going to be outside the top 5 all year. Never mind be the 5th highest ranked team from the Big Ten. Is this the year the Big Ten gets off the schneid?
It sure seems like it. And you're talking national title, of course. I don't see it being Purdue. I think their defense is going to be an issue. I think the way they defend on the perimeter can be an issue. I think they're a little soft inside. They've lost. They're a victim of timing right now, in that they've lost 2 straight. But if you were picking a Big Ten team to win it all, you'd certainly be looking at Michigan. You'd be looking at Illinois. You'd be looking at Michigan State, probably in that order. Illinois might be the most dangerous team of the bunch. They've got as much size as anybody. I mentioned Wagler earlier, and they're going to play for the next 3 weeks without senior guard Kylan Boswell. So it's, they'll get other guys some reps. When Boswell comes back, I assume they'll be better than ever. It's as good a year as any for the Big Ten to win it. There's no good SEC team. The Big 12 has some really good teams. Duke is good. UConn is good. That's your list. It's Duke, UConn, and a bunch of teams from the Big 12 and a bunch of teams from the Big 10 that are going to be your national title contenders.
If there's a flaw with Arizona, and they've got a gauntlet of a schedule coming up, it started last night with the win at BYU. If there's a flaw with Arizona, in your estimation, what is it?
Perimeter shooting. Not that they don't make perimeter shots. If you watched last night, Braden Burries and Jaden Bradley were terrific from the outside. But they just don't take a lot of shots. I think they're like 330th in the country in 3-point attempt rate. And that's just an anomaly in today's game. Arizona is fine getting it inside. They're fine taking mid-range shots. They just don't shoot a lot of threes. And I think, if you were a team that was trying to upset them or trying to beat them, you'd play it like BYU did last night, where Arizona did everything perfectly for about the first, let's say, 32 minutes of that game, right? And they were getting the ball inside. They were crushing it at the rim. And then BYU caught fire, and they were 10 of 20 from 3-point range in the second half. And if you're Arizona, it's hard work if you're just trying to beat teams going 2 and the other teams are hitting 3s. This is the problem Bill Self's run into the last few years at Kansas, where, they're intent on getting the ball inside, and it makes sense. But then after a while, it just becomes a real challenge to try to offset the other team's points if their other team is racking up points by 3-pointers.
Are we buying St. Louis? 19-1, their only loss, a desperation heave from the corner at the buzzer to lose by 1 in late November. Are we buying the Billikens as the mid-major team, if you will?
Oh, I think you have to do that. It's obviously Gonzaga's not really a mid-major anymore. Nobody would consider that. They're the best team, but St. Louis is terrific. And they lead the nation in 2-point field goal percentage. They lead the nation in 2-point field goal percentage defense. Even if they don't win the A-10, they're probably going to get an at-large bid, and they'd be a good shot to at least win a game. Win the second, get to the Sweet 16. That'll be matchup dependent. They're really good, and they've got a terrific coach in Josh Schertz, who will probably be at St. Louis for another year, maybe 2, depending on what other big time jobs open up. But the Billikens are good, and there's no reason they can't win a game, if not 2, in March.
You mentioned it. No great team in the SEC. They've been inconsistent. Kentucky's won 5 in a row. I thought the Gators might have figured it out, but they kind of laid an egg against Auburn. When you look at the SEC, is there a team that you think can figure it out between now and March?
Well, it's still the Gators. I mentioned that Arizona's issue is not shooting a lot of threes. The Gators would love to shoot a lot of threes. They just can't make them. The first time they actually start to shoot well from the outside will be the first time this year. And, they make up for so many challenges on that end by just crushing the glass. No team is better on the offensive boards this year. Few teams are better on the defensive boards. And that makes up for a lot of issues. If the Gators get even consistent scoring from their perimeter, they're going to be a handful in March. But that's asking a lot because, we're 22 games, 23 games into the year for them, and their guards are who they are. They're going to have a couple of really good games, and then they're going to have games where they just can't score, and that's just going to be the reality. The question will be, if it comes in March and they struggle, they hit a team that can handle them on the glass, they're going to lose. But they're the best SEC team and the most capable of making a deep run.
Mike Miller, the Field of 68, thefieldof68.com. Follow Mike on X, Mike Miller F68. Mike Miller F68. It's funny. I'm high on Arkansas. Okay. And it's not just because I like Cal more than I dislike him. I don't know. I think there's something there. Okay. Do you not see that?
No, I do. I just would trust Florida's group more, I guess. Arkansas's got, and we mentioned freshmen. I didn't even talk about Darius Acuff. He's their freshman point guard, and he's awesome. They've got a freshman wing in Lee Thomas who's great. A part of me doesn't trust their bigs as much, though. The Arkansas's bigs. Talent-wise, they're every bit as good as Florida. It just seems like Arkansas has as much inconsistency as any other team. I suppose they're certainly as likely as Florida to go deep in the tournament. I just haven't seen it yet. And we'll see. They could certainly end up winning the SEC.
Charles Bedico, the temporary restraining order lasting another 10 days because the lawyer couldn't get in. NCAA trying to get the judge recused because he's a donor for the University of Alabama. Seems to be a conflict, but who knows in today's NCAA. How much of a difference does he make? I know he scored 13 the other night. If he stays with Alabama, how much of a difference? And how do you think this whole thing's going to end up?
I have no idea how it's going to end up. I would not be a smart person if I tried to predict how legal situations are going to go for the NCAA. I guess actually you probably just bet against them.
Yeah,
their track
exactly.
Right now. But there's no question he is an asset for them. He's played 25 minutes, and it's not like he came in and he was just sitting on his couch. He's been playing professionally, and he is immediately their best post player. And if you guys remember when they were a 1 seed 3 years ago, that was when Bediako, his last year there, and he was awesome up front. He doesn't foul. He's an awesome rebounder, rim protector, and he's perfect for that system where he doesn't require post touches. He goes and cleans up messes. The guards shoot a 3, he gets the rebound, kicks it back out, or he follows it up with a dunk. And I think that it's a real asset. There's no denying it's an asset for Alabama, and is really the single biggest piece they were missing. The other thing that Alabama's dealing with right now is health. So I think they listed like 6 guys that'll be injured for tonight's game.
Got about a minute. But it's absurd, though, that he's playing. I mean, we all agree with that, right? I mean, at some point, do you think the coaches rise up and go to a conference commissioner and say, you got to end this, make him ineligible? This is disgusting. I mean, it's absurd he's playing college ball, isn't it?
I mean, the coaches could do it themselves. Coach didn't have to bring him in. The other coaches don't have to bring in these other guys, and I think it's easy for person to say, hey, we shouldn't do this. And then you say, oh, but this is a scenario where it actually makes sense for us because we're playing within the rules. You know, it was a week before they brought in Bediako. Nato was saying how he didn't like all these guys coming in because it was taking away opportunities from high school players. Now, Bediako's not technically taking away an opportunity from a high school player because he's coming in mid-season, and this is his last year. But that seems like a technicality. It's just the coaches are as much to blame as the NCAA is. You know, if they didn't want the players to come in, they wouldn't bring them in.
You got that right. Mike Miller covers college hoops for thefieldof68.com. Thefieldof68.com. Sign up for their daily newsletter. Follow Mike on X, Mike Miller F68, Mike Miller F68. Mike, thanks for doing this. Appreciate it. Stay warm, safe travels. Hopefully we can talk soon.
Thanks, guys. Good luck out there.
Mike Miller, Field of 68, here on Miller and Moulton. Andy Baskin from Cleveland. Does anybody want the Browns job? That'll be our first question coming up.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it
Mark
real.
Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Think we only fix windows? Think again. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business does so much more to upgrade your home. We custom build stunning shower and bath enclosures, install sleek glass doors and windows, and can bring fresh life to foggy or cracked panes. Need a glass tabletop or a statement mirror? Yep, we do that too. If it's glass and it's in your home, we're the team to call.
Call the Glass Doctor, we fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This was coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
Spring training is a big win for Lee County. Beginning next month, we will proudly host the Boston Red Sox and Minnesota Twins right here in Southwest Florida. It's more than great baseball. It's jobs, visitors, and $69 million in tourism impact for our local economy. Get your tickets at redsox.com and twins.com. Be part of something that strengthens our community. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
first got to college, I was trying to date this girl. His name was Meredith. I was still trying to woo her at that point. And coach sat me down one day and said, "Hey, listen, when you're at the golf course, you need to be focused on what you're doing at the golf course." He's like, "You're in class, you need to be paying attention in class." He's like, "You get to do your social stuff, you need to be present where you are. When you're thinking about what you're doing, I think that's when you're doing."
When he first came here as a freshman, he had kind of a bumpy landing, a little bit of turbulence. He was working to get into the business school, which put a lot of pressure on him.
Mark, how you see the tennis stats, winners to errors. Coco Gauff had 3 winners and 26 unforced errors in her match.
That's not very good.
It's amazing a top 5 player in the world could play like that in a match.
I just put it. I'm asking for your answers. There it is. The question's up there. Answer it. What more do you need?
There was somebody earlier, you may have already addressed it, something they were trying to get info.
Oh, yeah.
Sounded like advertising.
Oh, no, I didn't see that. I saw someone talking about my treatment coming up.
Oh.
To the person who asked about my treatment coming up, my email address is pretty easy to get to. It's mark@millerandmoulton.com. Please reach out to me that way. And I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it, but I'm not going to bore everybody else with it. I got to call a guest.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the Diamond District bonus hour on this Tuesday, the final one of January. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Andy Baskin from Baskin and Phelps, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland joins us. Follow Andy on X, Andy_Baskin, Baskin. Andy, I said I was going to ask a different first question, but I want to go with this one. And first off, good talking to you. Hope you and the family are well. Are they really conducting 7-hour interviews? Are there really term papers involved? Are there seances? How much of this is BS and how much of it is, oh no, it's the Browns?
I'm not sure about the term papers and the SAT and all that stuff. One of our reporters, Daryl Ryder, just was saying that they're asking these guys to write down their philosophy. Now, if that's having to write an essay, then okay, I guess that's having to write an essay. But I don't know. We were just talking about it as we were getting ready for our show here today. This is just like a Hallmark movie. They're out looking at all the big city guys that are out there that are looking handsome, and they're thinking about bringing him in. And when it's all said and done, they're going to find that guy named Jim Schwartz, who's the defensive coordinator,
who's been under their nose the whole time, working at her father's shop, ready to go. It's a Hallmark movie, baby. It's a Hallmark movie.
Is this Schwartz's job to lose now?
I don't know. We all thought it was Shiehaus's job to lose yesterday, and then the Bills swept in. And you asked me, Bills have a quarterback. Browns. Oh wait, the Browns have an All-Pro quarterback now in Shedeur Sanders, or a Pro Bowl quarterback, I should say. So maybe that changes. I don't think so. So if you had your choice as an offensive mind, would you go to Buffalo or would you go to Cleveland? I think it's pretty easy.
Are we safe to assume this will be the last year of Deshaun on the roster, on the cap, huge cap hit, and that after 2026 we can put the nightmare behind us and this could be a good-looking roster and a good-looking cap again? Is it one more year of pain?
Yes and no. I'll always say this. They're looking for that return on investment on that deal. Let's not forget about those gigantic 3 first-round picks they also gave away, 6 picks in total. So, I think if they thought Deshaun could have something going this year, they might consider going a little bit longer. I know every Browns fan's stomach turns when I say that, but they still want a return on investment on that. I don't know how you couldn't, even though Jimmy hasn't said swing and a miss on the deal. So it's frustrating. It set the franchise back forever. If they just would have stayed with Baker Mayfield and had their picks, we think this would have been a much different situation around here.
Where is this roster? Because we've talked this morning that if it were us, we'd trade Myles Garrett. He's set his record. He got paid. I get it. But we don't think they're close enough to deliver him what he wants next, which would be a playoff run. So if you were running Cleveland, what would you do with Myles Garrett?
I'd hang on to him hard. I mean, players like him don't come around every once in a while. So I'm not getting rid of Myles Garrett. I also have Denzel Ward. The defense is in great shape. And as we see, these teams that are in the Super Bowl, their defense did a pretty good job last weekend. So they need to fix the offense, which really has 2 guys right now, Harold Fannin Jr. and Quinshon Junkins. And Junkins needs to be healthy for next year to make that sing. So the offensive line is a shambles. They really don't have any wide receivers. So they need to rebuild the offense, and we'll see how that starts with the draft and what they might do in free agency. But otherwise, it's just, the offense is a mess. If you've got a defense that can win in the NFL, you stick with it. And that's why I also think that Jim Schwartz is the right guy for this job.
Do you think Schwartz wants to play the best of the young quarterbacks on the roster, or do you think that he would want Cleveland to maybe, even if it's a modest pursuit, Andy, a Malik Willis on a 2-year, $40 million deal, where do you think they ultimately go at that position?
I don't know where they're going with this quarterback thing. I mean, Shedeur turned a lot of heads, but look at his ratings. I mean, he's at the bottom of the barrel on almost everything. I was looking again today at PFF and QBR, and it's just he needs. They screwed up last year, and this is where I think Kevin's big problem was. Excuse me. His big problem was when he decided to make him the number 2 quarterback, he needed to get him reps, and he didn't. And I think in the end, that's what Kevin's downfall was here at Cleveland, was not getting him ready when they knew they were getting rid of the 2 veteran quarterbacks. He had to do something, but things went south after that. So the quarterback position is totally up in the air. I have no idea what's going to happen.
With regards to back to the coach, there's been a lot of talk. I mean, everybody's bailed out of this. Why are you thinking guys are declining the interviews?
I think it's a little mix of both. I think some coaches looked at this and said, man, Kevin Stefanski is a 2-time coach of the year. Why'd they get rid of him? Especially for a team that has struggled to not only find a quarterback, but find a coach. The other thing is if you know you're going to take another job, or you think the Browns aren't going to hire you, why wouldn't you bow out before having to say, I didn't get that job? So I think it's a little bit of a mix of everything. I don't think it's as bad as the national media is making it, but I also think if you believe Kevin Stefanski is a good coach, you got to ask yourself, what am I going to have to do to be successful in Cleveland? And so I think it's a mix.
Andy Baskin, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, part of the Baskin and Phelps Show, 10 to 2 weekdays. You can follow Andy on X at Andy_Baskin, Andy_Baskin. Is there hope, Andy? I mean,
There's
honestly.
always hope in Cleveland. It's called the draft. As long as we have a first-round pick, there'll be hope in Cleveland. And you still have Myles Garrett. It's not again, like, look at what New England was able to do. I think if I'm the Browns, I'm trying to sell my fans on look how fast that was. Although Browns fans are upset that they let Mike Vrabel walk out of the building last year after helping out with Kevin's staff. And, Mike's a native Clevelander, played at Ohio State. So I think people who are around Northeast Ohio are kind of rooting for Mike in the Super Bowl. Not necessarily the Patriots, but for Vrabel.
Obviously, you just said it. You're a Cleveland guy. It's amazing to me, and, that there's still hope there. This fan base should be applauded, rewarded. I mean, I don't know what they can give them for free, but the fact that they keep coming back year after year, and with an ownership group that obviously is not good, it astonishes us from the outside. But I guess we're just built differently everywhere else than Cleveland, right?
Yeah, I think it's it's this neighborhood. It's us. It's Buffalo. It's Pittsburgh. We live for it. You guys have a million things to be able to do. I'd kill to say it was 20 degrees here today or 40 degrees, right? So, I mean, we live for these moments. We live for those sports teams. And, the Browns have been an integral part of the neighborhood. And, most people, it's like religion. Every Sunday you're locked into the Browns, whether you hear a good sermon or not.
Is this new stadium dome thing happening?
Yeah, I think so. And I can't wait for it because I got to tell you, if I had to be outside on a day like today, sorry guys, to watch a football game, I'd be miserable. And so would the players. Let's let players who are world-class athletes play in better conditions than what we have right now. That stadium has no history to it. It has no playoff games to it. It's not Old Municipal. It's just this thing they put up really quick after the city got screwed by Baltimore when the Ravens, when they were stolen out of here by Art Modell. So never blame the fans on that one.
No doubt. We were laughing, and my co-host more than me, because I get it. Most owners want domes. And, it wasn't too long ago that a lot of teams played outside. Are the fans, the fans are obviously sick of it, and that's who it's being done for. But have we become too soft that we want all these games inside now, Andy?
Yeah, I do. I think we're a little bit soft, but it's the bigger picture. It's jobs in Northeast Ohio to build the dome. It's having a venue that can host more than 12 events a year. I really think that's the bottom line. It's just, we have this great community here in Northeast Ohio, and we have a stadium that's sitting on a prime piece of property on the lakefront that's used literally at the most 14 times a year. Maybe if we get a couple soccer exhibitions and a concert, that's it. They need a building that's being used more often.
Any belief in the Cavs as a legit contender, or is that waned?
Yeah, we got to wait and see when they get healthy. The last 4 games, they look pretty good. If they would stop going into panic mode at the end of the game, just jacking up 10,000 threes, I think it'd be a different story. But they need to get healthy. That's the first and foremost thing. They'll be ready. I think they learned their lesson last year about having this great record throughout the season, and then all of a sudden you hit the end of the year and you get a flat tire. It's not good.
Andy Baskin getting ready for Baskin and Phelps, 10 to 2 weekdays on 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Follow Andy on X at Andy_Baskin, Baskin. Andy, as always, appreciate it. Hope you and the family are doing well.
You too. I'll get you a better voice next time we talk.
No problem. Thanks, Andy.
Same here.
Later.
Right back at you. Andy Baskin joining us here on Miller and Moulton.
Man, they're built differently there. Cleveland, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. But see, I grew up with the Lions being awful, and I never, in fact, games were blacked out. People didn't go, whether it was in the Silver Dome or before that when they played at Tiger Stadium. Lions fans didn't have that. They had largely given up. So when I look at the Browns fan who has every single reason to give up, and yet they don't, I'm amazed by it. I really am, David. Because I would have given up by now.
The part that I find most impressive is like your Detroit teams, some of them picked you up. Okay. Eventually the Wings got their act together, but the Tigers gave you a World Series title when you were in high school. The Pistons competed for and won championships for you when you were in high school and in college. Some of your other teams gave you something. The Indians/Guardians haven't won the World Series since Truman's first term, 1948. Okay. They're not getting picked up by the other sports in town either. That's what is so impressive to me. The depth of the well of hope that they keep going to. Where do they find it? The baseball team hasn't given it to them. The basketball team gave it to them once in their history. And the guy
and
who
it's
gave
clearly
it to
third. I mean, the Cavs are clearly a distant third.
And the Browns are one of the few teams that have never been to the big game. They're a remarkable fan base. Remarkable. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Got a cracked window or foggy glass? Don't wait for the next storm to make it worse. Your local Glass Doctor Home and Business is just down the road and ready to help. From leaky frames to shattered panes, we've got the tools and the know-how to get your home or business storm ready. With flexible scheduling and our done right promise, you'll be in good hands. So before or after the weather hits, call your neighbors at Glass Doctor.
Glass Doctor, Glass Doctor. Call the Glass Doctor. We fix your pains. Oh, yeah.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That developed quickly.
Yeah.
He texted me. Wasn't even the brother there.
Oh, really?
All of a sudden, the interview starts with, I'm calling Andy in my text, and I'm like, hey, it's Frank Caliendo. I can come on tomorrow or Thursday. Want to do it Comrex. I'm like, would you be able to do StreamYard? He's like, my StreamYard sucks. I could go on video, but Comrex would be much better. Okay, let me work with the engineer. So I'm texting Tig to trying to get it. So apologize that if I was a little off on that one.
That's okay.
And the mistake of all mistakes.
And by fondness, Deadstruck, I know what you mean.
of text conversations I didn't think I was having this morning, one with Frank Caliendo was not on my bingo card.
I was going to say, it's been a while.
And he wants to test it out at 1 to make sure it works.
Wow.
Right. Just making sure it wasn't between 2 and 6 because I ain't losing, but. Oh, by the way, Michael, if you want my vote, I'd just assume they go 2-15 next year. For the record. In fact, 0-17 would be better. My whole family now roots against them. My daughter hates them. When she sees them on TV, she instantly begins rooting against them, and she doesn't like to watch football with me.
All because of Michael and the text?
No, the other guy that said something derogatory towards her. But she always says, aren't there the 2 idiots that are the Broncos fans? Well, I can go off the reservation here unless you have something.
Well, I text you. There's breaking news. I at least want to cover that, and then we could do what you want.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts, a pick or two. Big night of college hoops coming up. Top 5 showdown tonight. Breaking news.
Breaking news?
Breaking news.
Wait a minute. Breaking news? Hang on. Where is it?
From NBC News Studios in New York, I'm Tom Brokaw. There's been a settlement reached between Duke and their quarterback, Terry and Mensah. Mensah wanted to leave, and Duke wanted him to stay. But eventually, after 5 days of settlement talks, Mensah gets to leave. And the expectation is
Hurricanes.
The expectation is that he will be a Miami Hurricane before the week is out. Now we go back to regularly scheduled programming, already in progress. So there you have it. Because otherwise they were going to court Monday, I mean, there was a date and there, injunctions and everything. So anyway, my guess is Duke got a check of some kind, and Miami's going to get a quarterback.
And a lot of people on this story kept saying, well, why do they want him if he doesn't want to play there? Same thing with the Washington kid. Why do they want him if he doesn't want to play there? I don't know what the settlement is. There's part of me that wishes a Duke or a Washington, I guess Washington's getting the kid back, but a Duke would have kind of stuck to their guns on this, because ultimately letting him leave, particularly if they're getting money in a settlement of some way, which you got to believe that they are, this isn't fixing anything. This is just the Wild West continuing. And I'm fine with the kids getting paid. I am. I'm not in love with the portal. I wish there were a better system. I put as much of that on the coaches as I do the kids and their agents, maybe even more of it. And I wish I had a solution, David. I really wish, because I've not heard anything from smart people that seem to have a solution that makes the most sense.
Well, there are solutions that make common sense, but you need people who are willing to uphold what common ethics are. I mean, that's all. I mean, we were talking with Mike Miller 2 segments ago, and we were talking about the pro who's now playing for Alabama, and Mike Miller said, hey, look, Nate Odoms didn't have to take him. He could have just said, nah, I draw the line here. We ain't taking him. He goes, blame the coaches. They're all taking these kids. There's none of them saying no. And those that are saying no and publicly, okay, but you only need the one guy to say yes. And there's somebody willing to take them. I think we all wish. I mean, can't the contractual rules that apply to us in the everyday world apply to college athletics? And remember, yes, coaches are under contract and they leave. They have buyout clauses in the contract. They pay them. So they are living by the contract. I mean, that's all I think. Don't we all just want that we just want to understand what the rules are? If I'm a fan of a team and we have Mensah signed to a contract, does that mean I have him for next year? Or I have him unless there's a school willing to pay the 7-figure buyout? That's all. Just tell me what the rules are. That's all.
And you can understand where Dabo Swinney's upset that he had a kid in class and thought he had him signed, and then he goes back in the portal. Okay.
Now, listen, and there's somebody taking a shot at me in the Twitch chat room. I hate the fact that coaches and ADs and general managers get up and leave. I would never put it in a contract. And I've had people say to me, well, then you wouldn't get people to work for you. Yeah, somebody's taking the job. No, I wouldn't. There's no way I'm signing somebody to a 5-7-year contract, and 12 months in, the guy can exercise a buyout and leave. Screw that. Made a commitment to you. Paid you big bucks.
And by the way, if you fire him because he's doing a poor job, remember, you have to pay him. So that's the other side of it.
That's all. I just think we all want it's difficult for us to understand as fans that we hear someone has a contract, but it apparently is not binding in any way, shape, or form. That's all. Could just somebody explain this to us? It's binding to a point. It's binding until there's a dollar amount. That's all. That's all. I mean, I think we'd all like to rein it in just so that we know there's rules. It just appears right now there are literally no rules.
And what we've been talking about is having them be employees. I know it doesn't sound right to a lot of you, but let me just give you this little nugget. Apparently this year at the University of Colorado, Dion, who Miller and Moulton are fans of, by the way.
Huge.
Okay? Dion is planning to issue fines to players for misconduct. Late to practice, $500. No show, $2,500. Late to a meeting or films, $400. Late for that same thing, $2,000. Late to conditioning, no show to conditioning, violation of team rules, public or social misconduct, up to $5,000. And Darren Heitner, attorney who represents a lot of players, he says this exposes the fiction of NIL license agreements. They're employee contracts disguised to avoid labor protections, workman's comp, and union rights. If players are employees in an all but name, they deserve employee protections. Can't have it both ways. I couldn't agree with them more. Could not agree with them more. You know, it used to be in the old days, I get it. You were late for a meeting, you missed a practice. We've all heard Bobby Knight. You'll run until you can't eat supper.
Yeah, Bobby Bowden. You'll run till you can't grow no more.
But name, image, and likeness? Well, why do I you're going to fine me because I'm late? That has nothing to do with my name and image and likeness. I'm an employee if you're fining me. So it's funny. I mean, at least in Deion's case, he wants to treat them like employees, but they're not employees. Love to see a player take one of those fines to a court, if you will. How can you uphold that? You're not paying me to play, remember? You're paying me for my name, image, and likeness.
Well, and what you'd like to see is you'd like to see one of the top players on the team do it too. You know, not somebody where it's real easy for him to bury. You know, you'd like to see a kid for whatever reason, he missed a practice or was late or what have you, and he goes, I paid you $2,500. You out of your mind?
Poll question today is about quarterbacks and two really good ones, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Which will get to a Super Bowl first? 31% of you say Josh. 9% of you say Lamar.
Wow.
60% of you say neither.
Wow. For the next 5 to 6 years, neither the Bills nor the Ravens are going to even make the Super Bowl? Wow.
You know, there was part of me that wondered, instead of neither, Josh with Bills, Lamar with Ravens, Josh with somebody else, Lamar with somebody else.
We have had a few people who have answered that in the DMs and what have you, in which they say, oh, I think so-and-so will make it, but not with the current employer.
Today was the day when the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what's on tap, including several system plays. That's next. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities.
They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
If you say so, Michael. Aurora, would you rather have the Broncos make the Super Bowl or miss the playoffs next year? That's the question. Well, Deadstroke, I mean, I can't feel sorry for if you've almost in Marco. I mean, what are you, an Isla Capri? I mean, life can't be that bad, my friend. I told you, Michael, You come on every day and you don't care what we're talking about. It's Broncos, 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 Broncos. It just gets annoying after a while. Okay?
I mean, Michael, honestly, don't you want to talk about something else?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes. So we're done. We're out of here. That's it. Bye-bye. So long farewell. Final Tuesday of January in 2026. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So is this Frank Caliendo thing happening tomorrow?
Tomorrow, 8:38. We're testing out his equipment today. He's going to join us with a great, audio feed, if you will. Same thing you use for when you fill in on Sirius. Doesn't bother, for people that don't know. I won't get into it, but we'll have a great feed. It'll sound like he's in the room. And it all started because I reached out. He's going to be in Naples this weekend. So I reached out to Captain Brian that owns Comedy Shop. And Brian's like, hey, I'm damn near sold out. I don't really need any help. Like, I got you. I text our old producer because we used to get Frank on the show. I wouldn't say regularly, but we've had Frank on the show half dozen times maybe.
Yes.
And so I reached out to his brother, who's his PR guy. And his brother forwarded my text right to Frank. And all of a sudden, right as we're starting with Andy Baskin, I get a text saying, hey, Frank here. I can do it this day or this day. And I'm like, well, I'll be damned. So, yeah, Frank Caliendo tomorrow, 8:38.
Did we ever play it on the air? Okay.
Yes.
Frank and our show had such a good rapport, and mainly the producer, John Cassio at the time, that when Brett Favre retired,
that's what it was.
Time, okay.
I wish I still had the audio because I'd play it tomorrow.
And so our producer, John, reached out to Frank and said, hey, Favre retired. Obviously, we'd love to have you on. Frank Caliendo called John back and left a message on his personal cell phone that was about 1 minute and 40 seconds of Caliendo as a sad, drunken Madden lamenting the retirement of Favre.
Right, because he couldn't come on the show. For whatever reason, the next day he was traveling or whatever the case, because I can't do it, but I'll do something for you.
It was amazing how funny it was and how good it was.
By the way, he admitted in that call as Madden, he wasn't drunk on alcohol. He was drunk from drinking too much gravy.
Correct. Right.
Spectacular.
Amazing.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We'll start with that Edison guy. When wasn't he doing something? Today in 1880, Edison patented the electric incandescent lamp. First college basketball game today in 1894. Although I don't really consider this a college basketball game because only one of the teams was a college. But the University of Chicago beat the Chicago YMCA 19-11. Today in 1948, the first tape recorder was sold. Right after that, David interviewed himself.
Not too far from the truth.
I know. Hey, there's two guys that have, I've done a lot of play-by-play into a tape recorder for nobody. That's how I got my way into this business. So it's a shot, but I'm having a little fun. Today in 54, boxer Archie Moore beat Joey Maxim, 15-round unanimous decision to retain his light heavyweight belt. It was at the Orange Bowl. It was the last of a famous trilogy of fights, all won by Moore. Elvis's single Heartbreak Hotel was released today in 1956. It was his first million seller. Today in 69, Chuck Noll named head coach of the Steelers, the youngest coach in NFL history at the time.
How'd that work out?
Pretty well, because a year later, they drafted a kid out of Louisiana Tech His name was Terry Bradshaw.
I was going to say, I think the first year he drafted some kid called Mean Joe Green.
That's right.
Yeah, their drafts were pretty good back in the day.
Louisiana Tech, by the way, for Bradshaw.
Yeah, the old story, the Falcons were picking second. They sent over a copy of their roster and said to the Steelers, circle as many guys as you want, and we'll just flip picks so we can take Bradshaw. And the Steelers said, no, we're good.
Stevie Wonder's Superstition hit number 1 today in 1973. What is it? Shamil Samazel, Hotzenfeller Incorporated. We heard that for the first time today in 1976 as Laverne and Shirley debuted right after Happy Days, the spinoff from that show on ABC. I don't think this trade worked out well for the Phillies. Today in 82, the Phillies trade Larry Boa and Ryan Sandberg to the Cubs for Ivan DeJesus.
Yeah, Sandberg was a throw-in.
Right.
It was really, shortstop for shortstop. DeJesus for Boa. DeJesus was younger. The Phillies were an older team, and they thought this was the way to go. The Sandberg kid worked out.
Yeah, pretty well.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
Dude.
Today in 84, at the height of his fame, Michael Jackson burned during the filming of his Pepsi commercial.
Yep.
Today in 89, Stevie Yzerman becomes the 4th NHL player to score 100 points in 50 games or less as the Wings thumped Toronto 8-1 in 1989. A couple of things in 91. The first one's for you, David. The second one's for everybody. Boris Becker wins his first Australian today, beating Yvonne Lendl in 4 sets. And the more important one, actually, this is for you too, believe it. These are both for you, David. It's all for you. Super Bowl 25 today in 91 in Tampa. Giants 20, Bills 19.
I had a Bills fan ask me recently. He said, now that it's played out the way it has, would you give up that one?
Hell no.
And I said to him, I go, well, of our 4, that was like number 2. I mean, that was, we stopped the 3-peat in the NFC Championship game and then, shutting down you guys after 51-3 the week before. And so he goes, so you wouldn't give it up to us, all these years later so we could get the 1? And I'm like, I'm going to have to think about that.
David, I'm still pissed at myself for saying out loud it was better for hockey for Sidney Crosby to win Game 7 in Detroit. How have the Wings done since then?
They haven't been back to the Stanley Cup Finals, Mark.
No, they have not. They've missed the playoffs for a lot of years in a row right now. Jennifer Capriati wins her first Grand Slam, winning the Aussie, beating Martina Hingis today in 2001. Today in 02, AFC Championship in Pittsburgh. That means New England won 24-17, and the Rams would beat the Eagles 29-24.
Brady gets hurt in the AFC title game. Think he suffered a concussion. Bledsoe came off the bench, threw a touchdown. Okay, they don't win that game without Bledsoe.
And today in 2014, Billy Joel begins his residency in Madison Square Garden, where he played for once a month as long as there was demand. There was only demand for what, like 11 years?
Yep.
Mozart, Lewis Carroll, author of Alice in Wonderland, original Steelers owner Art Rooney, and Jerry Buss would have all celebrated birthdays today. Mikhail Baryshnikov, the ballet dancer, probably the first dancer that I really had heard of, David. He's 78. My favorite kick returner, bar none. You can have Devin Hester.
Billy White Shoes Johnson.
He's 74 today.
There you go, baby.
All day, every day for the end zone dance, if not anything else. Lightning color commentator and former NHLer Brian Engblom, 71. Keith Olbermann, remember when he was relevant? 67. Bridget Fonda, 62. And Bryant Young, Hall of Famer, is 54 years old today. What did I miss, David?
He may not be relevant, but do you know how rich he is?
Oh, man.
I mean, 9 figures in the bank, Rich. I mean,
9?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Rich.
9?
Rich.
Not
Yeah.
8, but
No.
9?
He kept getting settlement after settlement after settlement. I mean, maybe he spent it, but you look up how much money networks paid him to go away. Yeah, staggering amounts of money. And remember, he signed with that Al Gore network that he was with for 8 minutes.
Yeah, by the way, I'm reading that his net worth's not worth anywhere near that for the record.
Oh, okay.
$25 million, just for the record.
Well, living in
Look, I ain't bitching. I'd take 25 right now.
Well, I guess maybe living in the city all these years. I don't know. Maybe he spent it.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
Well, we go to New Jersey for the good. Yeah, New Jersey. Where a class ring from the class of 1966 made its way back to its owner in Nebraska.
Wow.
It was found in Belmar, New Jersey, buried in the sand. I will say, who the hell has class rings anymore? Do you have a class ring of any sort? Did you have one? I never have had one from anything. I thought they were silly in high school. I think they're even sillier now that I'm an adult.
Oh, no, I treasured my high school class ring.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't get a college one, but I loved my high school class ring.
All right. Fair enough. Let's see here. I got so many to choose from. For the bad, we go to New Orleans, where a dumbass tried to steal a large yacht from a New Orleans marina. Trying to leave with the yacht, Aaron Matthew crashed the boat into several sailboats before being apprehended by authorities. And finally, the ugly. We go to Utah, where the story is Utah. Orem, Utah, as a matter of fact, where Whitney Jensen, 39, went to pick up her child from daycare. She wasn't just drunk. She was flat out loaded.
Oh, hooked on phonics?
Hooked on phonics. She was more than 8 times the legal limit.
Damn.
She blew a .419. That's got to be some kind of a record. It's certainly the ugly, and that is the good, the bad, and the ugly, brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department, hiring new officers, great jobs, great pay, other jobs available. For all information, go to capecops.com. That's capecops.com.
4 system plays in college basketball tonight. 4. Our system has taken a beating in the last week. We were doing really well. We were at like 57, 58%. We went 0 for 6 over the weekend. So
and I'm scared to death about every one of these tonight.
I am also.
Everyone.
We're talking ranked team favored on the road against unranked home dog. We take the home dogs without looking.
So we've got Rutgers plus 15.5 against my alma mater, Michigan State.
Oof.
Sparty is just destroying teams right now. I mean, they went out west and whooped up on everybody and just beat the crap out of Oregon and Washington. Can't imagine that they're going to fall to Rutgers or even come close, but we'll see.
That means we have Oklahoma at home in 2.5. They're hosting John Cal in Arkansas. That one's on ESPN if you're interested at 7 Eastern. Which means we have Notre Dame at home getting 9.5 against top 20 Virginia. That one on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock. And Purdue and Indiana. Indiana at home. Assembly Hall. Hoosiers getting 5.5 against the 12th ranked Boilermakers, who have lost 2 in a row.
I think that's on Peacock because I don't see a network next to it, which means it may be on the NBC Sports Network as well. Sparty in my time slot, David. 6:30 FS1.
By the way, Purdue, Indiana is on Peacock at 9 o'clock. How do we feel about a top 5 showdown tonight in Ann Arbor? 20-0 Nebraska and 18-1 Michigan. 7 o'clock on Peacock. How many will not watch because either they don't have it or they go to throw on the TV and don't immediately find it and then just get distracted and go to something else?
Panthers at home tonight against Utah. Utah lost last night against Tampa. Love the Panthers tonight.
One of 10 NHL games, 7 games in the association. Peacock's got a doubleheader. Milwaukee, Philly early, Clippers and Jazz late. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. We'll do this tomorrow.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Lee County Economic Development will release its 2025 annual report on February 5th at their annual meeting. It's a powerful look at our local economy, highlighting key data, emerging trends, and performance from the past year. The report covers major industries, workforce initiatives, business growth, and partnerships that drive Lee County forward. For more information about the annual meeting and the Economic Development Office, visit LeeCountyBusiness.com. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
For 22 years, we've been more than just a jewelry store. We're your neighbors at the Diamond District.
From custom design and expert repairs to gold buying, appraisals, and spa treatments for your jewelry, we do it all right here in the store.
Whether you're creating something new or bringing new life to a family heirloom,
our team handles every piece with care, craft, and experience.
22 years of dedicated service only at the Diamond District.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Hey, football fans, Jimmy the Beef Guy here. This was coming up fast. Wait, did you just beat me? You mean I can't say soup? Whatever. So, guys, if you're having a football party, don't wait till last minute. Remember, guys, our beef packages come with the beef, the gravy, the bread, the peppers. All you have to do is heat and serve. So call me now or stop in one of our 2 locations in Bonita Springs or Fort Myers. And again, guys, please don't wait till last minute, man. Put your orders in now.
This is Miller and Moulton.